Reveille, donks.
Look at us now, tip to tip. This is our life. This is our passion. That's the spirit we bring to this show.
I'm Luke Thomas.
I'm Brian Campbell.
This is Morning Kombat.
Well, happy Monday to you, hoes. How are you?
Wow. One day after Mother's Day. Welcome in, all you.
Yeah, I was going to say, shouts to the mothers, nobody else. How is everyone doing here? Welcome. It's Morning Kombat on this 13th day of May, 2024. My name, Luke Thomas. That is Brian Campbell, the CEO of Connecticut.
Of CTE. Oh, yeah. How about my Connecticut brethren, Billy Ray Goff? Did you see him on the UFC St. Louis undercard just fighting like a Spike Carlisle reincarnated?
Who did he fight?
I forgot. Trey Waters, maybe he lost.
Oh, Trey Waters is a good boxer.
Yeah.
He lost, right?
I love
Trey Waters won. Your guy lost.
Yeah, Goff fought in the spirit of Brennan Ward, so I appreciated that.
Well, many things in Connecticut happen. Most of it's losing, if I can just be honest with you.
Wow. Connecticut has famous athletes. You ever hear of Willie Pep and Steve Young? I don't know if you know.
Okay. I think their relationship, like mine to India, is rather tangential.
Well, that's neither here nor there, Luke.
That's
if
right.
if I may.
As one philosophy graduate might have said. How's everyone doing? Welcome. We have a fun show planned for everyone today. We're going to be reacting, of course, to UFC St. Louis, as well as how about Lomachenko seemingly turning back the clock at 36 years of age, winning a title at 135 pounds, plus the big one this weekend, BC. I know you've got a bonaire from here to there. Fury versus Usyk. The first time since what year? 1991, whatever it was?
Since 1999 that the undisputed heavyweight championship will be at stake. And then this time, obviously, the first time four belts. Undisputed champion, unbeaten future Hall of Famer versus unbeaten future Hall of Famer.
So we'll preview
Let's
that.
Get it on.
We'll preview that as well. Plus, we're going to do DMs from donks as well as, have you seen this shit? We got a lot to do.
Not just BC's feces. I want to put it on record here that last week in this Meadowlark studio here in New York City.
You let me down.
Powered by DraftKings. You claimed that I mailed in because I was at the airport. And
you did mail it in.
You claim that I mailed in the have you seen this?
I can tell when you've done a good job because when you have, there's a certain degree of self-satisfaction that you ooze.
Oh, a swagger, if you will.
There's a little bit of ooze that comes
from
you
it. Coming out of the no-shit bathroom with a big, evil smile on your face.
I did not poop in there today. I haven't even been in there today. I mean, I want to take a dump in there, but I haven't.
I will tell Mr. Skipper myself what happened, okay?
You know, listen, how is it legal to be like, hey, that's a shitting bathroom where you can't shit? How is that even legal?
It's not your house, Luke. It's not your, you know what I'm saying?
That's bad etiquette. That's not illegal. If it's illegal, I'm going to take a dump. Anyway, neither here nor there, as you might notice it. We have a lot to get to today. And this is what I meant last time. Have you seen this shit? It was fine, but unremarkable.
Well, you heard the cry from our production staff that I brought it. Because I brought it. Okay, get ready.
I've heard that it's an all-time batch, so I'm looking forward to that. As a reminder, thumbs up on the YouTube if you're watching there. Subscribe. Here's all the socials if you're watching on YouTube. One more reminder. Obviously, if you're watching this now on YouTube, that's great, but we're always on DraftKings Network every Monday at 5 p.m. in the East. 5 p.m. in the East. You can always catch us there as well, getting the best breakdowns, setting things up, and a whole lot more. We have a lot to get to. I don't want to belabor the point. Good Mother's Day? Did it go all right for you?
Very good Mother's Day.
Yeah?
Pickleball in the driveway, smiles all around. I mean, it was,
You know what? I'm not a pickleball hater. I played it a couple times. It's kind of fun.
Well, don't say that too much because Jay Aaron will be calling in soon. He's like a professional
now
pickleballer.
I hate pickleball.
I don't play on that level, but in my driveway with the family, yeah, good times, great old.
There's a place that opened not far from where I live that is half pickleball courts, half roller skate rink, and they serve booze there. I haven't figured out how to make that all work.
Is this the first sport that has truly brought elite competitors and old slow people together on the same court competitively?
I feel like that's either darts or cornhole. I'm not sure. Yeah. Last thing I wanted to say is I have a big day tomorrow. Are
you getting your vasectomy?
No, I'm not doing that.
That would be a dark day in your man history. Okay?
I won't cry about it like you did for 10 years. But what I can say is tomorrow, not only am I going to get an orthopedic look at my knee, but that's not the issue. Tomorrow, I'm meeting Cannibal Corpse backstage.
Oh my God.
That's the thing. So,
I genuinely thought you were going to say tomorrow I begin the 2013 Vitor TRT adventure journey.
No, not yet.
Finally, right?
Not yet.
Finally.
But what I was going to say was I mentioned them on the, this is the Combat Sports Connection. I mentioned them on the Spence versus Crawford weigh-in stream. The guitarist, Eric Rutan, saw it, hit me up afterwards. We've been keeping a correspondence, and I was like, hey, if you ever come to my area, Actually, he invited. If we're ever like on tour, you should meet us up. And I was like, hey, you're going to be in the DC area. Let's do this. And he was like, you're on the guest list. So my wife and I are going tomorrow.
That's pretty awesome.
It's going to be great.
I mean, I could make jokes about them potentially sacrificing a human in your honor for being there, but I will say that this is a good moment for you. I texted you that clandestine gym photo I took yesterday of that dude in the do-rag speaking only Polish, wearing the Cannibal Corpse
He looked like an unbelievable loser. I was like, yep, that looks relatively on par for what I've experienced.
Those are your people.
They are mi gente, no doubt about it. All right, BC. Last thing, we're wearing merch. I got the MK jacket. Do you have MK gear on?
No, I got the jacket here though. It's right behind me. But we brought the same dress to the dance suddenly, apparently, so we can't.
Yes, indeed, we have. All right. Well, with that in mind, BC, let's get this show going. Let's get it on the road.
Can we just say, as you throw to UFC St. Louis, that this card, because it was in front of an arena, delivered like above and beyond what it should have on paper. Thoroughly enjoyed it, folks. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well, in particular, we'll talk about that in the co-main event in question number 2. But let's start with question number 1. All right, BC, it goes something like this. Derrick Lewis scored a third-round stoppage over either Rodrigo Nascimento. This was in the main event on Saturday. Took off his pants because he keeps going back to the well on the same jokes, which I don't love so much.
Dude, we are 2 knockouts away from seeing his pipe at this escalation.
I've seen his butt crack.
Like, what are we doing here?
So here's what I'm going to say, BC. I don't feel like we learned anything new about Lewis, but he did show us something besides his butt crack and everything else. What was that?
Well, in the immortal words of Nate Diaz, Luke, oh, you're a wrestler now, Derrick. So he did try to diversify his game, but to be serious, what did he show us? I think he held serve, obviously. Look, when we are panning this card on paper, which I believe we should have, it over-delivered. I enjoyed it. Happy to have that happen. But what did Derrick Lewis say himself after getting this knockout victory? I couldn't lose to a taxi cab driver that I've never heard of. So what that really tells you ultimately is, look, this is who Derrick Lewis is, even at 39 years old. He's an elite gatekeeper who the UFC actually can use as a headliner, not just because he's the all-time knockout leader in UFC history now with, I believe, 15 after this one. Or maybe, is that correct? 15?
I have to double check.
He's also closing in on John Jones, by the way, to be the all-time most times headlining a card record holder. But he's going to beat the not ready for primetime heavyweights, and there's a lot of them, and he's typically going to lose when he steps up. Very often, unfortunately, some ways in implosive ways, but again, neither here nor there. What did we learn? What we've always known about Derrick Lewis deep inside, that it doesn't matter the age, it doesn't matter the losing streak, it doesn't matter whatever. If he gets in shape and takes the fight seriously, he has a great chance to look good and even at times overachieve like he did rallying back to knock out Alexander Volkov, which got him the title shot against Cormier, or even the knockout of Curtis Blades, which elevated him back into that title picture once again. Is he still that guy? Probably not, Luke. But when he's motivated to be healthy and in shape, he's a different fighter. And I think the reason why he's had so many dips throughout his career is ultimately because he's a businessman. He's never hid from the fact that he's here for the money. He wants to fight as often as possible. And that means sometimes taking fights when he shouldn't, when he's injured, when he's not in the gym like he should be. When he's motivated, and to be fair, with the losing streak coming in, 4 of his last 5, and all the criticism of his as a headliner, he had to win this fight. Well, he did it. He's still a draw. He's still something. But let's not make it more than that. Let's not make it more than it is.
I think that there is something. Obviously, he won by knockout. There's a lot good about it. But this is what I was going to say. You have seen enough of him such that every time he tries to go for that very, very, very high watermark, a championship or really a number 1 contender fight, he's kind of fallen short. There have been a series of the very best that this division has had to offer during his time that have lapped him or certainly had the better of it when they have competed. So no one is especially expecting him to be a title contender, nor am I suggesting that he could be in the future. One never knows, but that's not what Saturday was about to me. What it was about was, okay, if you can't be this very, very best guy, we know that there is a bookend on the high end of what you can do. I was curious to see if the bottom was going to drop out. Like, to what extent was, okay, we know what the upper bound limit is, but now we need to figure out what the lower bound limit is. And this to me was 2 things. One, obviously he's going to keep his knockout power. But beating a guy he definitely should have beaten, and we got that. Finishing a guy he probably should have finished, that was great. But he really has a formula now. He is so patient in these bad grappling situations. He does not waste energy. He does not let guys get too comfortable. He scores reversals or get-ups at just the right time. He has found a way to have a very, and I mean this truly, he has very lazy jiu-jitsu on purpose. On purpose. I'm not saying he doesn't try. His whole method is save your energy, wait till they overcommit positionally, wait till they get too calm, and then reverse them in the process. We saw the Cuban prospect, Despain, he just had no skills underneath. He didn't have any kind of reversal. He didn't have any kind of get-ups. You can see that there's a big difference between them as a consequence. So what I learned on Saturday, BC, about Derrick Lewis was, did this change my impression about whether he could win a title or not? No, I don't think we got anything out of that. However, he is still going to beat the guys that are not top 10 very easily.
He's the rare gatekeeper that can be a consistent headliner. That's what he is. What did you make, though, of his attempts at wrestling, which were often, usually the potential of disaster because they often ended in him getting instantly reversed? And you even had his corner multiple times, credit to them, going, let's go to the old formula, the one where you walk him down and knock him out.
Yeah.
Do you want him at this point at 39 to try to evolve? You did mention how he's getting more efficient with his stamina, getting more efficient trying to land that one perfect punch rather than trying to overdo it and get tired. Do you want him to try to evolve? Because him in top position is a potentially scary formula and situation, but boy, can it go wrong on the way there.
He fought a guy, I think his first name was Hugo, but his last name was Innocent. He came from Strike Force. He ended up being a kickboxer. He fought Derrick Lewis in MMA, and Derrick Lewis got on top of him. That was some of the most vicious ground and pound. It sounded like a sledgehammer trying to break through the octagon
like when Brock's
floor.
on top of Mir in the rematch. It's scary.
Scary. So what I would say is I don't think he should really reinvent the wheel. What I would say is probably continuing to improve the get-up system, both in terms of patience and then actual how do you want to get up, what are ways in which you want to explore that, either from side control, from mount, that kind of a thing. Like just get more refined at that. And then maybe add 1 to 2 takedowns that are not super exhausting to do. He should not be doing major level changes. These should be like body lock takedowns where you can control the descent and then land on top of them, right? That kind of a thing. I think that could really majorly benefit him. But what would be the point of like reinventing a guy at this age in this division? I don't think that much progress is possible.
Yeah.
You would get him out of his game to do that. You kind of have to accept, is he the best heavyweight? No. But he's still going to beat a lot of guys just by tweaking a couple of things here and there and then just sticking to what he's good at.
I will tell you, as good as he did look in doing what he was supposed to do, I don't think we ever see him get a win again that he shouldn't. And then the last one was Blades, right? There was that point where I mean, Blades, that was his second chance of stepping up and showing you that he's ready for the title level. Curtis Blades has seemed ready for the title level for years. He just couldn't get over that hump. Do you ever think Derrick Lewis, who always has the great equalizer like you're mentioning, will ever stumble into a win that he shouldn't? Or is this where he's going to be until the wheels fall off?
Someone with that kind of power can always stumble into a win that they shouldn't. There's no denying that that is true. However, as you well understand, the chances of that are fairly unlikely. That's just the reality now. But I will tell you what, like, can this guy continue to carve out a place for himself as a potential bonus winner, a headliner that people like? I don't know what kind of headliner he is at the gate. I know that this one set records, but also the UFC has just completely blown their ticket prices through the roof, so it's hard to know what's chicken and the egg there. But listen, people like Derrick Lewis. Derrick Lewis tends to, more often than not, tends to deliver. Match make him correctly, and you can get a lot out of it. That, to me, was the lesson. Like, for example, we'll talk about some of this a little bit later. The Despain fight, I am really questioning why they gave him a guy who had a decent chin and was intent on wrestling him. It's like that. We know Despain has no, dude, the cumulative time he had in the octagon and previous fights to that was like less than 30 seconds. And you gave him a guy who's got a good chin who's going to wrestle. Why the fuck would you do that?
Yeah.
It blew up in everyone's face. Like no
well,
one.
I don't think anyone thought Despain's ground awareness could be that bad.
Oh,
dude,
I thought that. Oh, I thought that.
That was like early UFC bad. That was like, why is there a guy in a gi stuck to me and I can't get him off? I don't know what to do. You know,
he had no skills on the ground, like nothing.
Like balloon popped in like there's different levels of balloon popping. Remember when Alexander Romanov for a minute was like the next big thing, and then we saw his.
He's rebounded a little bit.
He has rebounded, but like this felt. There's times when the balloon pops and you go, okay, you can still put Humpty Dumpty back together. I don't know if you can put Humpty Dumpty back together.
But I will give Scott Coker credit. Maybe Scott Coker and Bellator, but Scott Coker's strike force would not have matched him against a guy like that. You match him against a guy who you're going to get the most out of. First of all, you can do more with Derrick Lewis because he doesn't have such a limited skill set relative to Spain. But more importantly, he's got such a great formula. And if you're one of these heavyweights who's, you're kind of athletic, kind of not, kind of big, kind of not, you're in the UFC because it's a very weak division, Derrick Lewis will set you on fire. He will set you on. He will feast on these guys, I think, for some time to come. That makes him valuable. That makes him exciting. That makes him relevant to an extent as well. And I think Saturday's showcase was basically
let's talk about relevancy in the discussion of Derrick Lewis, his performance art. His greatest hits have been awesome. There's a reason why he's always like first team all interview and all that. From the My Balls Was Hot, Where's Ronda Rousey's Fine Asset?
Kind of going back to the well.
Their greatest hits. This was extreme. This was the instant drop down of the shorts.
Yeah.
The fanning off of the opponent, which was the highlight of it.
Yeah.
But then we went to laying on the canvas, pulling out his cup in a manner, which, by the way, Brendan Fitzgerald going, can we tighten up? Can we crop up? That camera angle was hilarious. Fitzy's good. Long Island Luke is right. Fitzy is
Brendan Fitzgerald is
really good.
A superb commentator.
But it seemed to devolve from there with Derrick Lewis then taking the athletic support, tossing it at the media, which showed who's actually there for the St. Louis media. There was like 3 people there.
We have a conversation to have about MMA media.
But we do. But the guy that caught it in the blue suit then took it, smelled it, told Derrick Lewis at the post-fight press conference that it didn't smell that bad, which is obviously weird, and then begged Dana White to autograph it, which he ultimately did. I think we're going to see some of this, and have you seen this shit? But for the Derrick Lewis experience, did it escalate? Is this another comedic notch on his belt, or was this like, hey, you're out of material, and maybe the only thing left is to go the full Monty? Maybe to, if you got a big... Let him search it.
You want him to just start beating off in there in the octagon?
From different ring, all right? You know what I mean? Right?
That's the song backwards. The Missy Elliott song backwards.
Yes. Yeah, that's how she said Satan. That's what it says when you play it backwards.
That's what it is. Yeah. Kill your parents. Play it backwards. 1980s. It jumped the shark for me a little bit.
I mean, he mooned the crowd. He mooned the damn crowd.
It jumped the shark for me a little bit. Also, like if Derrick Lewis, okay, let me ask you, if he took the cup and then just chucked it right
to the crowd, that'd have been funny.
Okay, that'd been funny. But what I'm saying is, imagine you were in the crowd, media or otherwise, and it just landed right on your lap. Would you have kept it?
I still make fun of my cousin Tim O'Brien. Hey, T.O.B., you out there? Because we went to an NBA game and some backup 12th man on the Indiana Pacers threw his towel and he caught it and it was all wet and he was like, I'm going to keep this forever. I'm like, that's weird. No, I would not catch Derrick Lewis cup.
I don't mind if you would have kept it, but then asking Dana to sign it and being like, it doesn't, you know what? This doesn't smell like penis nearly as much as I thought it would. Like, dude, fucking get some help. You know what I mean? Get some fucking help
to your MMA media. Is this where you're going?
Just get help generally.
Okay.
I mean, if you're doing that and then like what the fuck are you doing? Like, what do you like a coffee roaster? Like these beans are clearly Arabica.
I mean, what is he going to do? Sell it on eBay? The autographed Dana White cup? It's weird. Media members are weird. Like Tony Ferguson gave you that weird object at the UFC.
That was the thing for grip strength. That's a little bit different.
Was that like a reward for you being a respectable journalist? Like, hey man, I respect you. I'm going to give you this grip strength.
I think he since blocked me on social media, so probably
or maybe
not.
He was like, I've heard about your search history. You're going to need this grip strength.
A lot of pornography.
So I did want Derrick Lewis to use what he's best used for the UFC as an entertainment headlining tool to better material than that. Do you think they talk to him? Does Dana sit down with him and go, okay, thanks for giving us some viral moments there, Derrick. Well, we didn't necessarily ask for your asshole, and you're teasing a next level S&M variety show that's coming
It's like, listen, dude, if you're going to do the butthole thing, OnlyFans. There's one way to do the butthole thing.
At least profit off of it like half of our strawweight division, please. Yes. Because we're not going to pay you what you deserve, so at least find other alternate routes. Right, yes.
All right, can we stop talking about his cock and balls? I just move along here.
I mean, it is on brand, though, to be very fair.
You're up.
Sorry. Okay.
Right, you're up.
You get so parental in these moments. You know what I'm saying?
Well, someone has to guide this goddamn thing.
Number 2 goes to the co-main event in St. Louis, where hometown product Joaquin Buckley, aka New Manza, he did show up at our 3 Margarita show, so shout out. He called for this to the UFC. Give me a big fight in St. Louis, and boy, did they, Luke, from the standpoint of big. How about a 7-inch height disadvantage against Nursulton Ruziboev, whom Joaquin Buckley with 30-26 on one card, 29-26 on another, 30-27 on the third, takes away a unanimous decision and improves to 4-0 since cutting back down to welterweight. And he even tried to have a big moment afterwards, which we'll get into later in the show. And have you seen this shit? Luke, did Joaquin Buckley become a genuine welterweight contender on Saturday with the crowd screaming Buckley, Buckley throughout, and an even more impressive victory than maybe we've seen up to this point?
He absolutely did. I firmly believe now you need to look at Joaquin Buckley, who I've been kind of waiting to get to this point, and I felt like it would happen, but I wasn't quite sure when, and I wasn't quite sure against who. But now I think we're here. I think that Joaquin Buckley showed us something very clearly. Like, obviously, he's first team all body. Like, we've been knowing that for a while.
Well, you can go deeper. I think he's with Big E of WWE fame of first team all male rack.
First team all tits.
Also, Meatloaf from Fight Club.
Fight Club.
Yeah.
Well, those were meaty tits. I mean, what kind of show are we doing today?
I mean, sometimes you got to go sloppy on the moves, Luke. All right.
Let's be serious about this for just a moment. He was sitting at 11 on the rankings prior to Saturday's fight. I think with this, he will certainly go inside the top 10, even though his opponent was not ahead of him per se. I just think it'll cause some movement. I'm going to say something, BC. I think, and this will help us have the conversation, I believe the next appropriate fight for Joaquin Buckley, assuming he's healthy and that they can make this on the appropriate timeline, him versus Sean Brady.
Oh, wow.
Sean Brady's sitting at 8. I think this will probably move him to 10 or even 9. It could put them in right proximity to one another. I think that is a fantastic fight because it was interesting. In this fight, Buckley had to use a lot of his wrestling, in fact, to get the fight to slow down or in his terms. It wasn't until later where he actually dropped Ruziboev is I think how they pronounce it. He had to drop him multiple times, or at least rock him several times anyway, in order to really pour it on, which he did. But it just showed maturity. He knew how to manage the fight. He knew where his strengths were against this kind of an opponent. He tried to play some mind games. I don't really know how good they were. It's very weird to me when one MMA fighter who doesn't get pay-per-view points makes fun of another MMA fighter who also doesn't have pay-per-view points for not having enough money.
Who was this?
Buckley did it to Ruziboev at the weigh-ins. Because apparently Ruziboev was checking into his hotel and didn't have enough money. So I think he was giving him hotel money. And it's like, guys, if we want to have I don't do it, but if we want to have a conversation about who the all-time clubhouse leaders are with leaving money on the table, it's MMA fighters times a billion.
Well, New Manza did call out Connor, which is a separate conversation. So he tried to access that vault. He just did a bad job.
Here's what I think. It was he's physically right for the weight class, number one. Number two, he's got enough competition experience now where he's not making silly errors for the most part.
Dude, he's all grown up as a fighter.
He's super grown up. He made good decisions. He is athletic. We know how powerful he can be. I think he has the best or the most acrobatic KO in UFC history. And this kind of performance against a big dude like this just showed me he is ready to step into those kinds of challenges where you have to be not just, good physically and locked in, but you got to really elevate your game. He, to me, is ready for those kinds of challenges.
Exactly. I say all grown up because obviously it was the poise and maturity of his game that even though the calling card can be the explosiveness and the knockout reel, you can't be that. It's equivalent, Luke, to the slam dunk contest in the NBA, which young guys always come in looking to make a name for themselves. Sometimes a guy will win the slam dunk contest, doesn't want to get typecast as just a dunker, and then will work so hard to show the rest of his game and raise his game and begin to be seen as a complete player. New Manza, I think, needed time to evolve out of that because for a while it became feast or famine at middleweight, where he's either going to spectacularly knock you out or he's going to get caught like he did a couple times. But it was what he did from that. Figured out the best weight division for him. Now 4 straight fights and 4 straight wins after cutting back down to 170. But it was the patience and poise. And you had to have patience and poise against a guy who was 7 inches taller. Now, it wasn't a 7-inch reach disadvantage. It was only a 1-inch, which is weird the way the bodies are broken down.
But they looked like they were different weight classes.
For sure. But to see Buckley strategically use his wrestling in the way that he did, and to use the explosiveness in key strategic situations, mostly one of the key sequences in the second round where the fight was very even because of the reach of his opponent and the height and tagging him coming in. And you saw Buckley get hit with a 2-piece, looked like he might have been hurt. He took 1 step back and then exploded back for the takedown. And it wasn't reckless. It didn't lead to any kind of crazy reversal. It snuffed out the momentum instantly of his opponent, which is a veteran move. It's how you win fights. So it's the patience in the combinations. It's not just spamming offense, looking to get something creative or waiting for that one big counter strike. It's becoming a complete fighter. And if you look at the quality of the wins of late, I actually thought this might have been his best performance, all things considered. But obviously, when he took out Luque, that was a bigger name. This 4-fight win streak are pretty much all quality names. Yeah, and I love the most that he called for this smoke, that we had this debate. Did he ask for too much when he said, hey, UFC, I want to headline St. Louis? And they're like, oh, you want to? All right, you're not going to headline. You're going to go to the co-main event, and you're going to fight this killer that no one really knows who's 7 inches taller than you. And he was good. He was hard to look great against. That only shows me even more that Numanza is ready for that smoke, is ready for top 10 fighters. And even though I didn't love the Conor McGregor call out, we'll hear that and have you seen the shit, it came out as comical. And by the way, his own St. Louis fans booed him for it, which was weird to see because they were so aggressively chanting his name. And you got that hometown feeling like when Terrence Crawford fights in Omaha and you're like, they're making this area a combat sports haven. Yeah, dude, he's ready for the big time. He did it the old school organic way. I can't wait to see what his ceiling is going to be here because that crazy explosive athleticism is always going to be in the back pocket. But now if you can use that in smart ways, he becomes a plus fighter with a big ceiling. He really does.
And listen, here's my reality. I don't know how far he can go.
I don't know either.
The reason why I want to see the Sean Brady fight is because I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. You could also give him a number 9. You could give him Jack Hermanson. I'd be fine with either of those. I would like one more than the other. But the point Ruziboev trains with Sean Brady, so there's something of a revenge factor there.
I like that.
So I kind of like that fight a little bit more than the Jack Hermanson one. But the point I'm trying to make is I actually don't know how far he can go. I don't know what the fights would look like. But I know he's ready. I know he can make them interesting. I know that they're probably, to a degree, certainly winnable. And that mystery, that intrigue gives me... I'm so excited to see what happens.
He's charismatic. He's fun to watch. He's fun to like.
He wants to be there. He wants to entertain. He wants to be a name. He wants not just the smoke. He wants the mantle and everything that kind of comes with being a bigger face and a bigger name in a division. I say let's give it to him. Let's absolutely give it to him.
Jamal Hill? What gym is that? Do you know?
I forget what
team. Is that in
Michigan? I'm not sure. I haven't looked up.
Murcielago MMA.
Where is that?
Michigan.
Talk on the mic so everyone can hear you.
Long Island
Michigan.
Luke.
Everyone can hear me.
Okay, good.
It's in Michigan.
It's in Michigan.
Hey, have you been watching Long Island Luke's betting podcast, The Mile High? What is it? The Mile High Minute, Luke?
Main card minute.
Yeah.
Is your podcast a minute long?
No, I do betting breakdowns in a minute, but I got other stuff.
The Mile High part is less than a minute. It gets pretty quick. I've seen it.
In any case, let me just read you 6 to 9. See what you think. 6 is Brendan Allen. I don't think that's quite fair. 7 is excuse me, wrong division. I'm sorry.
Brendan Allen, a Midwest guy?
Yes,
wrong division.
Yeah, wrong division. I'm saying Jack Hermanson and
he's no longer a middleweight. I should have corrected you.
Sorry.
Yes.
Right. Number 10 would be Jeff Neal. Maybe is an interesting one. 9 is Stephen Thompson. 8 is Sean Brady. 8 is Sean Brady. 7 is Ian Gary, but I think Gary's probably got
they have him. They have big
somewhere else.
Yeah.
And then 6 would be Gilbert Burns, who he called out, but I think Gilbert Burns blocked him or something like that on social media.
Dude, that fight would be something, wouldn't it?
Would you rather see the Brady fight or the Gilbert fight?
The Gilbert fight. I think there's
Tell me why.
I mean, look, the Brady fight is a better fight in terms of the division and figuring out who's coming or going and all of that. But I think the Gilbert Burns fight is interesting because Burns will play into aggressively. If there is a weakness in Buckley's game, he's an explosive wrestler, but Burns will come at him from the grappling submission side and really test him in those areas. But also an aging action fighter who could stumble into a war, and I don't know if you want to stumble into a war with this guy. This is the one that Gilbert Burns could win and keep showing us that in his late 30s he's still there. But it's like sort of, I love when a prospect is coming up and starting to show them good, and you catch a legend on the way down, and it sort of matches up in the perfect moment where it's a perfectly competitive fight, and we learn what we're supposed to learn. Maybe I like the storyline of that and the potential there just as much or more than the Brady fight, which is taking 2 young guys looking to really find out who's going to go to the next level. Do you think Brady will hold him down though?
I think he can. I think Brady can hold down anyone in that division. Literally anybody, including Shavkat Rakhmonov. The question is, can they hold him down long enough to win? That part I don't know.
I know we're going to talk about Chase Hooper in a second, but did you like Chase Hooper's joke attempt when he referenced the quote that Justin Gaethje had said?
If you can hold a man down, you can rape him. Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he was like, UFC doesn't want me to finish this quote. So
probably a good idea.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
All right, let's talk about the rest of UFC St. Louis. So there were some other big winners, some other big losers on Saturday. Let's talk about some of the biggest ones. BC, I have to say, Chase Hooper's win over Slava Claus was fantastic. It is easily his best performance to date, maybe in all of MMA, just given who the opponent was and given where he is in his career. Huge, huge win. I have to say, this is the first time I looked at him, and there's been times where he's obviously got skills on the mat. There's never really been a question about that. Stand-up is a work in progress, but even here, he dropped the guy, which was phenomenal.
Yeah.
But this was the first time I looked at him physically at age 24, and I thought to myself, okay, now he's becoming a man. He's growing into his man strength. He just felt like he was still kind of a teenager or a teenager body for a while didn't quite settle. Now it seems to be settling. Drop the guy, put him in every kind of position from the back to the mount to inverted triangle.
He gets full mount quicker than almost anyone. I know that this is the level he's fighting at where there's still holes in the games of his opponents, but he goes full mount raining down in almost every fight.
But there's a skill where if you have a mount and you can't keep it, you have to roll, but then you have to roll to some other dominant position. They call it flaring out. His ability to flare out and control is so good. Dude, congratulations to Chase Hooper on what has to be not only a good feel-good performance for him, but one of those things where it's like, okay, now I'm ready to start beating genuinely good top guys in the UFC. What a performance from him.
It was. And you consider that he's 24 years old that you mentioned. Now 3 straight. He's gotten some of those real big mistake losses out of his way where the bottom falls out and then you find out where you are. I still have questions about his strike defense, though. I still have questions about his head movement.
He didn't answer every question with his performance. I don't think that's
obviously
unfair.
He answered the question of he's now figuring out how to have more weapons on the feet, which is good. To throw that looping punch that Slava Claus didn't see coming and drop him. I think he dropped him a second time partially as well. So he's improving on that. Obviously, if he can take you down, he thrives in the chaos, almost in a Charles Oliveira type way. Thrives in the chaos that he's trying to create. He gets full mount, like I said. He's constantly transitioning into craziness. But Luke, the great equalizer still is a powerful puncher that can line him up. And I think he is a different fighter when he gets, as most people are, when he start to get lined up and pieced up. And then suddenly that aggressiveness and confidence begins to work against him in a way. I need to see him pass more of those lessons. But to be 24 years old, to get the early losses out of your way. Remember when he was so hot of a prospect at one point, they mailed out that M&M jar with his face on all the M&Ms, the UFC PR did. There's still time for him to be that because he's charismatic on the mic. He looks like a young child from a teen movie, but the man strength is coming in. But here's my big question outside of the striking defense. Can he have that success? Now, look, I love Slava Claus. He's one of my favorite action fighters, Mr. Faber's boy. I thought on this card, they matched up a lot of sneaky good matchups from Baby Shark Tabitha Ricci against Tisha Pennington was another one of those where it was just perfectly competitive style-wise and where they were in their careers. Can, though, Chase do what he did to a higher level of competition? Can he get himself those advantageous ground positions and spam, or are more experienced guys going to cut him off at the turn? And then we see some of the exposure of his skills not fully being there because he's still in progress. He's very much still in progress.
I don't imagine that he's fully ready for everything, but what I would say is at 24, he still has, I would say, 3 to 4 years before he even enters his prime. Assuming they can matchmake him correctly, that's a big if, and assuming he continues to develop, let's see what he's capable of. I did see people over the weekend being like, oh, he could be a champion because he's only 24. I think that is extremely premature. I would not necessarily go that far, only because it's not a no. It's just there's not nearly enough evidence to be that confident about what you're up against, even though he has obviously come very far. There's never a guarantee that they're going to actually fully develop into what you want them to. And MMA prospecting is hard to do. What I would say is he has absolutely earned the right to be like, oh, he's not a child. There was a time there where I thought he was a child competing with men, and I just didn't know if that was going to make a lot of sense for him. I don't feel that way anymore. I do feel like he's got a lot more refined offense. To your point, what about the refinement of the defense? It will really come down to how he is match made, going slow, taking time. But I think he's capable of doing some big things.
We should get him on the show. I think he'd be a good
I would love to
interview
have
for
him on the show. I took my hat off to him. I was like, man, that was very, very impressive what he was doing. Also, it should be noted, commentator Michael Bisping said there was a quote from Baz Rutten that you should never tap to toe holds because it's just a pain submission. And I remember hearing that in real time thinking, that's not true. You can absolutely break someone's ankle big time with a toe hold. I took a Gary Tonin seminar in 2017, and he was very clear you can do that. Sure enough, I looked up the quote. It's about Achilles locks, which is true because that is just pain. But no. The toe hold, you can break people's shit apart.
And don't forget the quote from Governor B.J. Penn before the second GSP fight that only a bitch taps to strikes. And then he quit on his stool in the second round. I mean, it was a tough fight. I'm just saying that's
I think he quit after the fourth.
After the fourth, I'm sorry, right there. Luke, to stay on this theme of sort of breakout performances at UFC St. Louis, and I thought it was a fun card for that. Carlos Ulberg, once again, gave us the goods quickly. That sexy striker, Luke, has been able to put together a few of these wins after an early hiccup. How high is your CKB Bonario from here to Hanover, Ohio, extending right now, Luke, in this direction?
I mean, here's the thing, right? Like, you want to be super...
That's a tough opponent, Alonzo Menafield. That's not a...
So yes and no. Yes and no. Alonzo Menifield is a scary, big, hulking monster with big power, and if he connects on you, it's curtains for you. However, he has a tendency, and I'm trying to be nice here, to fight recklessly. And he fought recklessly against Olberg, who tends to feast on guys like this. So I hated the way that Menifield tried to compete. Olberg, showing his skill, readiness, presence of mind, just dispatched him. It was fantastic. But that's not being audited. That's not someone being like, let's actually test your game here a little bit. So is Carlos Olberg one of these kinds of strikers where if you get hasty with him, he'll send you to the land of wind and ghosts? 1,000,000,000%. But that doesn't tell me exactly how he's going to do it with somebody who wants to take him down and wrestle him, and then what are you going to do then? Or, you know what I mean? Like, there's still a lot more you have to go with something like that.
I'm sure his DMs are fire, but can he commit to a relationship?
Something like that.
On that same theme, Luke, how about Sean Woodson at featherweight? How about that? A guy we never talk about who's now unbeaten in 6 consecutive fights now. Gets the decision win over Alex Caceres. And Luke, I'm here to tell you that it's always, the goofy boxing, not goofy, but the intricate, heavy movement style of the kickboxing. He's long and weird for this in terms of body shape, but he's effective out there. Do you put stock in this win, or is it a good win? Show me more.
Great win. But again, when you've got a really lanky body type, I want to see what your defense on the ground looks like. A lot of lanky guys have good guards. A lot of lanky guys have really bad jiu-jitsu when it comes to like the wrestle boxers who can really occupy inside space. They can capture rides in certain positions. And when you have long levers like that, it makes finding those nooks and crannies you need to reestablish space very, very difficult to do. And, look at his body type. The guy was fighting as high as 215 previously. At 145, he's going to be getting a lot of squattier opponents.
That's wild. That's Anthony Johnson level wild.
It's so weird. He makes it work. To your point, he makes it work.
So he's 12-1-1 overall. His only defeat in the UFC was a submission loss to Juicy Julian
Erosa.
Juicy J. Erosa.
Yeah.
He has a draw in 2022 against Luis Saldana. Featherweight contender rising quietly here out of the St. Louis area?
Yeah, he's on his way. He's on his way. He is one of these guys with this kind of performance, and again, the overall track record, that you definitely need to say something like, hey, maybe he can do something with this. Can I shout out somebody who I thought had a fantastic performance? How about Carlos Diego Ferreira?
How about counting out the 39-year-old, the biggest underdog on the card?
39, competing at 155 pounds. This guy is an old war horse, if ever there was one. And yes, when he got tested against the upper end of the division, he was found to be not quite there. However, look at the tricks this old bastard has. And he got rocked in that first round.
So his opponent was Mateus. Now, I want to say Rebecki, but they were saying something next level.
Rebeski, I think is how you pronounce it.
Robutsky or something?
Something like that, yes. Who is a fucking hammer.
Yes.
He was a big, I think, or at least a decent favorite coming into the contest and started out marching down, super athletic. He's got a judo background. Like, this guy was putting hands on him.
16-fight win streak coming in.
And he's, again, strong, athletic, the whole 9 yards. And Ferreira weathered it and then turned the table on this dude. Hit him with one of the most ridiculous elevator sweeps I'd ever seen in my life. Just incredible guts. And then finally just pouring it on, dude. Did you see Mateusz's face? Both swollen eyes.
You're going to see that later in HYSTS.
Oh, my God.
So you want to be an ultimate fighter, Goldie.
And he was doing that for what, 50K? Maybe if that?
I mean, maybe. Do you think he could have afforded the hotel, or does he have to go on OnlyFans too? I mean, this is where we're at.
It's a genuine question. But the point I want to make was, dude, to get a 39-year-old to turn in a technical veteran performance like that in this weight class, very hard to do.
Also, then the curtain jerker to open the card. How about 3 straight wins for a rejuvenated friend of the program, Veronica Hardy, wife of Dan Hardy. Look, J.J. Aldrich has kind of always been the litmus test in this flyweight division in terms of, are you making some noise? We'll go in there against a tough southpaw, good counter boxer, not easy to man or woman handle and throw around. This was a hard-earned win, but the striking of Veronica Hardy was next level. She was stinging Aldrich, busted up her nose.
Accurate.
I didn't realize until they said on the broadcast that she had debuted back in 2016 in the UFC. Did Veronica Hardy, nay Macedo, Luke?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
But since the marriage and the coaching and the team, the chemistry that they have, she's starting to make some noise. You got to take her seriously now.
You absolutely have to. And she had been inactive for quite a long time, and so that you weren't quite sure her momentum. Well, she's got momentum now. This was a solid win. You can't take it away from her. She earned it. To your point, looked technical, looked for the most part in charge. There's a lot to like about Veronica Hardy's performance, no doubt about it.
And I mentioned earlier about Tabitha Ricci, Baby Shark at strawweight against Tisha Torres-Pennington, who that was a tough-ass fight for both of them. They were sort of like the Spider-Man meme in terms of their styles and their body size and what they're known for. That was a good-ass matchmaking and a very good fight. By the way, shout out to Tisha for coming back from giving birth so quickly and coming in there and looking very good. Easy. Looking very good in there in terms of her,
and also,
her toughness.
We should just sort of make a point here about the St. Louis crowd. They were actually really good. And getting back to the Buckley kind of conversation, I just feel like I remember when TJ Dillashaw fought Dominic Cruz, and I believe that fight was in Boston, if memory serves. And I think the crowd showed up. People will come for the UFC brand. That is true. But one thing that you really get, like, for example, Boots Ennis has signed as a boxer who has signed with Eddie Hearn. First order of business that Eddie Hearn did was, we're going to put a fight for you in Philadelphia, where he's from. And that comes with some difficulties. The Pennsylvania Commission makes it a little bit harder, which is why he had previously fought in Atlantic City, which is New Jersey. And so, I understand why promoters don't do it. But I really feel like if there's a chance to make a guy a hometown star, it is so good for the local market. It is so good for that person, male or female, whoever, the fighter who it ends up being. And this kind of card, to me, also showed that the spillover effect, because they were so ready for their fighter in the co-main, they were kind of jazzed the entire time. And they maybe because there's a good crowd, there's also nothing to do in St. Louis. That's probably a big component as well. It's one of the worst cities in America, but neither here nor there.
Wow, worst cities in America.
Worst big cities. One of the worst. I went there one time and I was like, dude, what do people do here for fun? And I guess not much. Is watch the Cardinals is really the answer.
Well, it does get hot in here.
Exactly.
So they get naked.
Yeah, I mean, that's not much to do.
They take off all their clothes, Derrick Lewis. Though.
But I'm being serious. It just feels like, here's what I'm trying to understand. I know why they do it to keep costs down at the Apex. I understand that. But it feels like, tell me when the crowd is cheering on Buckley, there's a spillover to the rest of the crowd.
Great.
But this is my point. Who's the loser there?
Yeah.
The UFC wins. The fighter wins. The hometown crowd wins. They did a record gate. Everybody wins.
I think it's fact. I'll say it as a fact. That card not being in the Apex, we panned that card on paper. By the way, as we should. I always want to say it, like, as we should.
I don't know if I panned it, but okay.
There were sneaky good matchups that all played out well. We learned a lot about all these fighters. There was a lot of exciting finishes. I think the live crowd has a lot to do with that. I'm not saying you have to burn the Apex building down. I'm not even saying you have to take a year and add an expansion. Just put bleachers in there. Give it that hardcore fan feel and get it going. To see Dana at the post-fight press conference go, I've been saying this a long time. Why don't we get out of the Apex? No, you haven't. We've been saying that. I mean, so is Dana saying this behind the scenes and somehow getting shot down by the higher-ups at TKO?
He has to be. I have no idea what. I'm going to be very clear. I do not know what the truth is. So I want to put that as a prefaced comment. God only knows how the various executives between UFC and TKO are interacting. What I can say is they had TKO had an earnings call, and they were very clear that, like, we want to touch the fans and be out there as often as we can. But what they basically said was the cost savings are so high with the Apex that they absolutely foresee a future, like, that's not changing anytime soon.
Okay, but I have to almost pause you there and say, if you are doing year over year record financial numbers, you're merging with WWE for this new company, and the quote, you're being evaluated at just ridiculous numbers, and you just won the lawsuit for your former fighters by paying the $335 million. Is the Apex being cost effective under theory only because they had fears about the cost of that potential lawsuit, and still in play because they do have to pay off that $335 million? Are those two things connected or not at all?
I don't think they can. I don't think that dude, it's going to take 3 installments. So it's basically 100 mil, 100 mil, 135 mil. That is chump change to this organization.
So you're saying it's not influenced by that, in your opinion?
I don't think it's even remotely influenced. No.
Then that's, to be fair, and this is why I get mad at these in-between fight night cards being so consistently bad on paper. I get that any card can overachieve. This one did. The crowd was great. The fighters were great. I don't think that's justifiable when you're doing that kind of numbers and you have that level of financial control over your own fighters. I mean, an insane level. Yeah. And you've got Sam Alvey and others out here going, you know what? I think we were overpaid.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that.
Okay.
But the point being is Dana saying, like, it was music to my ears. He was saying, yeah, we built this business going city to city and letting, not just, and his point was not just Las Vegas, not just LA or New York or whatever, going to like, Dallas, going to Atlanta, going to Fort Lauderdale, whatever. And he's right. That's exactly how they built their business. But they're a monopoly.
It can't feel the same to fight in an empty Apex with Paul Anka sitting there and at Zuck behind you. It can't feel the same.
The only choice consumers have is to either be an MMA fan or not be an MMA fan, because you don't have an actual alternative to watch anything else. That's just where you are. And they know that. So they're just going to keep doing what they want to do.
Do you want to comment here about the media? Because it wasn't just the media member in the blue
suit. Do we have
suit.
anything? Have you seen it yet?
Not specifically, because I was so kind of pissed off by it that I didn't want to play it up in that way.
Yeah.
So along with the media member catching Derrick Lewis's cup, having Dana White sign it after the press conference, there also was a female media member, I didn't get the name or the outlet, who openly said, hey, I want to be branded by Cowboy Cerrone. Can you really facilitate this for me, Dana? And that call got, and the conversation between them escalated and got weird. And Dana was like, wow, you must be into some freaky shit. Like, it just got freaking weird. And the media member stayed with it and pushed. And Dana was like, all right, I'll see what I can do. Rightfully so. I think you tweeted, Ariel's tweeting, this is what the UFC wants. We've had this discussion a million times. When you drive out the real media and make it harder for them to do their job, you want influencers lined up that won't rock the boat. But this is getting like, we used to say, you remember that press conference, Nate versus Jorge, when it was for the BMF title in New York next to the bridge in the background?
Yep.
And we panned that as journalists because all the questions were, hey, Nate, what weed are you smoking now? What strain are you got?
Oh, and how can you do this if you're a vegan?
Remember, there was like an hour straight.
Vegan.
It was like 45 minutes straight of like the worst questions ever. This is where we are, fast forward 5 years, where this is MMA media. Do you have anything to say about that?
I mean, I've already said, people got bitter at me because I don't understand how you can accept a credential and then think you can do something like that and then be above criticism for it. It just blows my mind that you can engage in self-serving frivolity in the middle of a press conference. Like, we do frivolity on our own terms away from that, right? Lots of people do. I don't think there's any problem with frivolity and even self-serving to that kind. But at an actual event where, by the way, when you accept a press credential, you actually accept a code of conduct that comes with it, both in terms of dress and everything else. Whether or not it's enforced is a separate conversation, but you know as well as I do, boxing, MMA, you accept a credential. They tell you what you can and cannot do in terms of your behavior and what's expected of your professional conduct. Again, whether it's enforced, I don't know. But, in a world where this kind of thing is being defended, and people say it's no big deal, and at the same time, guys who have done some of the most important work in MMA journalism, Josh Gross, can't be employed necessarily in the industry. Steven Morocco just got let go.
Didn't Loretta Huck get driven out of the industry?
Got driven out. Let me just say it very clearly. I'm not saying MMA journalism is 100% dead. People will still engage in individual acts of it at time. But as an industry, MMA journalism is dead. It is formally dead. You can say goodbye to it. It doesn't exist. One more time, individual actors can do individual journalistic pieces. John Nash might have some kind of subsequent reporting, or somebody else might do something.
Not on Bloody Elbow, unfortunately.
Not on Bloody Elbow, but you know what I mean? Like, people can do something where that will be journalism and will be a service to the public. But we have replaced people who care about commissions being aligned with promoters, who care about fighters being underpaid,
drug testing,
who care about drug testing. We have replaced them with people who want to get branded by fighters. MMA journalism is fucking dead.
And I think it's one thing to be opportunistic. And remember when Chad Johnson, the wide receiver, would show up representing betting sites and try to do a commercial during the press conference, or Derek from Better Media challenging Nate Diaz to a fight. Like, there's things where you can play that and we go,
and there are times too, like, for example, like, during the week of the Super Bowl.
Yes.
The NFL will credential just about anybody.
Well, I'm saying there's times when stunts like that are okay because it's strategic, but we hate it, but we go, okay. Yeah. But this was just weird. Both stories on Saturday were just weird at that post-fight.
This is where we are.
Where we are. Let's get back into real combat sports and results. Topic number 4 from over the weekend. We had a big boxing title fight down under there, home of Long Island Luke's father, by the way. This one was in Perth, Western Australia, and the return of former pound-for-pound king Vasiliy Lomachenko, 36 years old, is the 3-division champion. But with Devin Haney moving up from his undisputed lightweight stance as champion last year, there are a bunch of free belts out there. This was for the IBF, and Lomachenko welcomed hometown hero George Kambosos Jr., who still draws a big crowd and a big live gate down under, which is why the fight was there. But it turns out Lomachenko still got it in a big way, turning back the clock by dominating Kambosos through the 11th round, in which he stopped him after dropping him on a body shot and then piling on afterwards. So Luke Thomas, he's now the IBF lightweight champion, is Lomachenko at 36. He's now, and we'll get into it, teasing future unifications against Shakur Stevenson for the WBC belt, or even Gervonta Tank Davis for the WBA belt, who tweeted out during the fight that after Frank Martin, I want Loma next. Just how meaningful is this specific victory for Loma to become a champion again? And which fight do you actually think it sets up next?
Let's talk about the setup in just a moment. I was blown away is a strong word, because I did expect Loma to win. But this was, to me, about as close as you're going to get to the return of Lomachenko.
Oh,
This was, and you almost got it, because it wasn't Kambosos that quit, but his corner threw in the towel. So his corner surrendered on his behalf. So in a sense, you kind of almost got it. I was so impressed. At 36 years of age, by the way, we talk in MMA about the stat of 155 and below,
sure,
people can't win championship fights. There is a conversation to be had about George Kambosos.
and we will.
And we're going to have it. But let's focus on Lomachenko and what went right for him. BC, here's what blew me away. And listen, even after all these years, I still feel like I'm learning so much about boxing every single time we have a weekend where I get to watch these guys.
So you don't
perform.
want a new way to go to 140?
I think it's a little much.
All right.
I think it's a little much. But here's what I'm going to say. It wasn't that I was surprised he outboxed him. But BC, he punished him. He beat him up.
Dude,
He had him turning. He had him confused. Was it his right eye that was all just completely jacked up while he was taking a knee from the body shot? Dude, Lomachenko didn't just outclass him. Lomachenko put a beating on this guy and really said, it could have cruised to a 12-round decision. We'd been like, oh, he outclassed him. He forced his corner to save him. When was the last time in this like plus age 32, 33 era of Lomachenko that you felt like he was going to be here? And to be a guy who felt like he got robbed against Devin Haney, to be
who
a
went
guy
24 rounds with Devin Haney.
And by the way, he's not a natural 135er anyway. No. He's going up here, I think, for his best.
Are you talking about Lomachenko?
Lomachenko.
Oh, yeah.
For his best career opportunities.
Oh, Testator blows it too hard, but he's right. Lomachenko should be fighting at 126 right now. He should still be at featherweight. He only left 26 and 30 because he couldn't get the other champions to cut him together to do what is still his dream and what still drives him to become a 4-belt undisputed champion.
That's right.
He cares about the royalty and the hierarchy of the sport above everything else. That's why he tried to fight for a title in his pro debut, had to settle for a second fight, won a title in his third, 2 division titles by his 7th, won 3. Like,
and now he's still 3, yeah.
He's still aiming for that undisputed. That's what gets him out of bed. But you made the best point. Look, there was a lot of people like to say, Loma's only the creation of you media members who just love this guy and make him. Who is he actually
watch him and
Dude,
say
I had
that?
a lot of people hit me up on Twitter going, who has he actually beat? And their argument is that in his biggest fights, he stepped up and couldn't get it done against the big names. And who are these other guys? Well, these other guys, by the way, are pretty good-ass fighters like Jorge and Linares, that level of guys. He's got some
Rigondeaux?
very, very good wins. He's also considered the greatest amateur boxer or among that group of all time with 2 Olympic gold medals. But you can say, okay, well, the 2 biggest ones, what are we talking about? Haney and Teofimo, he didn't get it done. He started late in both fights to his detriment. The Teofimo fight in particular, by the way, he started a round or 2 rounds too late and nearly rallied all the way back to get a backdoor decision. It needed Teofimo kind of putting it on him in the 12th round to secure that. Well, the Haney fight was even closer, and Lomos felt like he got robbed from the beginning. But the Haney fight, you legitimately could have scored it either way. So what does Loma at 36 do? I get he's fighting Kambosos, who isn't Teo and Haney. I get that. But Kambosos went 24 rounds with Haney and was competitive. He went back to being an offensive force to walk him down. Not going to wait to figure you out and then rally late. Nothing like that. Look, he was on him from the beginning. 2, 3, 4 punch combinations, different angles, walking him down. And like you said, the Lomachenko thing is wild because it was a 4-fight stretch beginning with his lightweight debut in which he made 4 consecutive fighters quit on their stool.
Mm-hmm.
And he is so far above his head weight-wise, power-wise, but he came here to 135 because he knew it's the only place you can get competition. And even with decisions that didn't go his way, again, one I thought was his fault against Teo. Also, Teo was brilliant that night. And then the Haney fight, which I scored for Loma. You could have scored it either way. To come back and do this, to make this statement, knowing that 2 of the 10 greatest fighters in the sport are potentially out there in Shakur and Gervonta next, because what's his goal? Not to make a lot of money on pay-per-view. legitimately for the royalty, for the hierarchy, for the glory of it. How do you not love this? How do you not appreciate this? His resume is awesome, and he's still only got less than like 15 pro fights, right? I mean, it's still, he hasn't been here that long because of that great amateur career, 300-something fights. It's a marvel that he was able to pull this performance out in this division, be the puncher.
And he looked, I also want to say this too, he looked devastated after the loss to Haney.
Yes.
Like he didn't know he wanted to do this anymore, and he was robbed. And it's controversial, and there's a whole conversation you can have about that, especially in light of the Garcia win over Haney. But to be up a weight class or several weight classes from where he probably could be competing, so he's competing against bigger guys, and then to have this dude look like he was on skates trying to find him. I'm talking about Kambosos, then getting just mugged.
And by the way, Kambosos had a new trainer and a decent strategy to start. He was going to the body. He was trying to bully him.
Let's talk about Kambosos for a second too, because we're heaping praise on Lomachenko. Here's actually part of why I thought Lomachenko did so great. I actually thought Kambosos in the first maybe 4 or 5 rounds, going to the body the way he did was competitive.
Yeah.
But what did this guy do? He found ways around it. And by the way, even late, he was still trying to go to the body. And there was a couple more adjustments, by the way, from Kambosos. But in the game of chess, it was Lomachenko who was ultimately the guy to stay ahead of him and then really build on that lead. And then just, dude, he fucking tortured Kambosos down the last 2-3 rounds of that fight.
So we got to have the talk that we've had before. So we got killed
mercilessly
when Kambosos upset Teofimo. Look, if you remember, guys, Teofimo was a monster favorite, as he should have been. And that fight was as weird a build as possible because Teofimo forced the purse bid, so Top Rank didn't have control of the fight at ESPN. DAZN won it. DAZN couldn't Triller won it, Luke. Triller, right? Triller won the purse bid on this. Because Jim Lampley was going to come out of retirement to call that fight. It didn't end up happening because of Triller's issues and rescheduling, and there were injuries and all that. And then suddenly it was like, we just got to get this mandatory out of the way. So Teofimo took the fight. DAZN ends up winning the rights to it. People wrote off a lot of what Teofimo said afterwards as excuses and elevated Kambosos, who had, by the way, a gutsy, brilliant performance. They're never going to take that away from him. But when we said coming in, I think we said it right. Teo is way ahead of that guy. Guys, we have to wake up and realize that Teo wasn't lying about the injuries, that he really was from that. People say it might have been from the body shot.
So it was from this stunt he pulled with Hafthor Bjornsson, who plays the Mountain in Game of Thrones. You can find it on social media. He takes as hard as that guy can, standing still, but as hard as that guy can, he punches like flexing with his abs, Teofimo Lopez, and it turned out that did severe damage.
It tore his esophagus. So Teofimo was told not to fight before that. He went against medical advice because they just wanted to get this mandatory over because of all the unhappiness with Top Rank and ESPN over this fight being on DAZN. And also, like, Top Rank was looking at Teo as like a malcontent, that he was like trying to blow it all up and being too greedy. So they said, let's just go forward with the fight anyway. We've talked to Teo on the show about it. I said, Teo, look, let's tell the truth. That first round, did you go in there with a bad medical report and thinking, I have to knock him out in the first round, I have to just end this? Do you remember how crazy Teo came out? He knocked Kambosos down. He was putting it on him. He was all over him until Kambosos, to his credit, adjusted, heard him back, and then that fight was a back-and-forth war the rest of the way, and it was still kind of a close decision. Nothing to take away from Kambosos. What is his elite skill? He's determined as heck. He's got a very good chin. He's durable.
Also, I want to say one thing nice about Kambosos, you have to say, he doesn't take soft fights.
No,
he takes tough ass fights,
and he takes advantage. And he's played into this Renaissance boxing period in Australia. Why is this fight in Australia? Why did Manny Pacquiao go to Australia to fight Jeff Horn? Because it's a fertile boxing market. It's promoted well. Duco events there. You can make a lot of money. Big site fees. Kambosos has played his hand perfectly, right? Him and his co-promoter Lou DiBella got that big deal with Top Rank. They got the 2 fights against Haney on his home soil. He's been nothing but great from trying to dare to be great and represent boxing. But George Kambosos is not an elite fighter and never has been. That's also the truth. That's also the truth, Luke. I
don't think how you can. Here's the thing. Prior to the Lopez fight, I actually did tape study on him. I didn't see anything. He's a fine fighter. Didn't see anything special.
He's a very good fighter. He's not a great fighter.
He's a good fighter, and then that result blew up in our face, and we had Aussies DMing us about how we knew nothing about boxing. And since then, what has been the evidence that shows that the Lopez night was not a one-off? I don't see it.
Again, to his credit, he gets himself in big fights and he doesn't get sloppily handled, right? He's durable. He gave Haney hard rounds to a certain degree, right? He is who he is. He's a tough fighter.
That's I don't know.
And by the way, is he getting broiled now in a fight with Ryan? Did you see Ryan Garcia tweeted?
Ryan Garcia is just being Ryan
about
Garcia,
Cambo's wife?
Yeah, he's just being a jerk off on Twitter.
And then Kambosos is like,
you can like Ryan Garcia and admit he's being a jerk off on Twitter.
So Kambosos is then like, when I see you in the streets, it's on. This is not boxing in all caps.
BC, the wins he had before the Lopez fight, Lee Selby.
So Lee Selby was a good win, but that was an aftermarket version.
Also was a split decision, number one. Then he had Mickey Bay, split decision.
Former champion, again, aftermarket version.
And then Richard Pena, he beat in the first round. So he beat in via KO round 6. Then he beats Lopez, which was a split decision too. People forget that, by the way. He fights Devin Haney, loses twice. Okay, Devin Haney is a very, very good fighter. And then he had the Maxie Hughes fight, which he only won via majority decision.
Sure.
What I'm asking is, show me the other performance in his record like the Lopez one against a Lopez-level opponent that tells you that wasn't a one-off. It doesn't exist.
I agree, and I like George Kambosos a lot. Interviewed him. I think he's a very good personality, but it is what it is. He's still getting himself in big fights.
He is a good fighter. He's not a great fighter.
He might get Ryan Garcia in a fight because, look, you can go to his country and make a lot of money. It's true. And also, Luke, I'm still here for a Teofimo rematch one day. Like, it's a great story. It would be an interesting fight. But that's about it. We don't say that to take away from Lomachenko or even to kill George, but we got to be honest. We got to be real.
I mean, Lomachenko at age 36, up, again, not in his natural weight class, is like just mugging George Kambosos. You have to understand two things are happening simultaneously.
Yes.
One, you're talking about a guy who is just a very special talent in Lomachenko, and also you have a good fighter in Kambosos who is out of his depth. That's just the reality, out of his depth.
All right, let's spin it now because there is things to talk about. So, Bob Arum of Top Rank said before the fight, if Lomachenko wins, we want to match him against Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson has the WBC championship, undefeated, but as we know, coming off a very boring performance in a fight that he had to apologize against Edwin De Los Santos to win that title afterwards. Shakur has a homecoming coming up. I don't like the matchup. He's going
in July in Newark.
He's going up July 6th against the guy who lost to Frank Martin, Hurricanian, and lost because he circled around and wouldn't engage.
Right.
Yet coming off of a loss, that guy gets a title shot. I don't understand that. But Shakur is a free agent after this fight. And Shakur has tweeted and been open about it in interviews that, like, I'm going to test the market. I might see if I have to join PBC to get the Tank fight. I might see. But he did say, which I think all fighters should say moving forward, that I'm going to sign a smaller contract. Look, it is fertile open season but we talk about MMA fighters just not waking up and realizing their brand power and what they should be fighting for in terms of money. Boxers need to wake up, and a lot of them are, that it is the potential here with the influx of the Saudi money and the leverage there for an open market in boxing moving forward. And what I mean by open market is what's the biggest thing plaguing boxing in modern times? The fact that everything's so segregated, and now especially in the last 10 years when every major promoter has an exclusive deal with a major network, which makes it even harder for those crossover big pay-per-view fights to happen. They almost have to be big money super fights to make happen. Everything's changing. Not only is Saudi Arabia here, which is bridging the gap and bringing everyone together and bringing record high purses for everybody, but I think also the young attitude of these new American fighters like Ryan Garcia is, I'm not going to wait. Like the millennial thing. It's like, I'm not going to wait. I want it right now. Mm-hmm. That's going to make them richer, more famous. I mean, how do you have another Four Kings? People have to want the smoke and fight each other. We're starting to see that. So I think Shakur should call Turkey. Sheikh should, figure it out. But that's not a guarantee. Maybe Bob Arum says, hey, look, Shakur, to re-sign with us, we'll get you the pay-per-view of the Loma fight, which is a monster fight between two skilled fighters, one young coming up and one old trying to hold firm. Or you have the Gervonta Davis tweet, which was after I fight and beat Frank Martin, I want Loma next. That would still be ESPN and Top Rank of Loma and PBC and Amazon Prime of Tank. But Luke, I do think that fight is big enough that you can bring everybody together.
Don't get me wrong. If they do Shakur versus Loma, I'm going to be happy as a clam. But I like the Gervonta Davis fight a little bit more.
Ooh, let me hear about it.
Okay, so one, obviously, that would be a more natural. Well, again, is Gervonta naturally bigger than? No, yeah, a little bit. He's naturally a little bit bigger than Loma, but it's not a huge difference.
No, Gervonta fights at like a walking around weight.
Yeah, so this is not a case where Ryan is like killing himself to get down. It's just a case where Loma's still a little bit inflated, but not too bad. They're roughly the same size. But the KO factor for me from Gervonta is so significant. You don't have that with Shakur Stevenson. Shakur, if he's going to win, he's going to outpoint. He's going to dance. He's going to look cool, but he's not going to like throttle him. Gervonta to me has shown that he's got the ability to both be precise. His timing is impeccable. His accuracy is ridiculous, and his fucking power is next level. That level of danger, young versus old.
Yes.
And again, everyone looks at Loma like a skilled technician. I look at Gervonta. I'm not saying he's got the same as Loma, but I am saying I do think that the skills of Gervonta are underrated, but the danger factor with these makes it significantly more interesting to me.
You know what I hope the further of the opening of the market in boxing does, fueled again by Saudi just stepping in and just changing the game. I hope that when we have fights like this, and I do think Gervonta Davis versus Lomachenko is big enough where it can be both the historic defining fight on Gervonta's career and I forgot the word I'm going to say, but what I'm trying to say is for all the haters saying Gervonta hasn't fought these guys or these guys of this talent level, it's the perfect antidote for that, right? It's also, in my eye, a blockbuster where you would bring the two networks together. So what I hope moving forward, Luke, you remember when Tank fought Ryan, and the only way it actually really happened was that Ryan pushed so hard for it that DAZN basically came to that crossroads and said, to make this fight happen, which we would still benefit from financially, we could still sell it on our platform as a pay-per-view, but we have to let PBC and Showtime take the production lead. I hope we get to a point where networks can come together that have the exclusive deals and just basically say, we're going to run the pay-per-view on both networks. And I don't think the fans care. If you buy it on one network, you get that announced team, or if you buy it on this network, you get that announced team. Or if we do like HBO and Showtime did a few times for Mayweather-Pacquiao or for Klitschko versus Joshua, where they combine the announced teams together and make an all-star team. I don't care what they do. Like, that doesn't even really matter. But if you can sell the pay-per-view on both platforms, then this fixes everything, right? Then you can make that fight. Then yes, I would rather have Tank versus Loma than Loma versus Shakur, even though Loma versus Shakur is a true pound for pound top 10 wet dream fight and a potential like passing of the baton in a lot of ways.
Let me ask you, why isn't that the case with Tank?
Well, I was going to get there. I was going to say that that's what it is for the Shakur fight, but there's still enough of that in the Tank fight, and then you get the fact that it's also going to be a blockbuster crossover fight.
Anything with Tank's big. Yeah.
Dude, this is great. And the fact that it's not it's not Lomachenko being a businessman opportunist and being like, I want to go out there and get the money. It's him just trying to unify the belts, and those happen to be the champions. So, Luke, I hope we get that next. But the final question on this is the most important one, in my opinion. Lomachenko walked down and beat up Kambosos in a way that turned back the clock.
Yeah, by the way, we didn't even talk about that. Like, just absolutely just marching him down.
Well, we talked about it a lot. Can he do that against Tank with the threat of that power? Or will it be inevitable that he's going to start late like he had to do against Teofimo because of the threat of the speed and power?
I think Tank is a super, it depends on your perspective, but for my money, he's a very, very underrated counterpuncher. I think walking him down is a very dubious strategy. I think you have to play angles with him. I mean, obviously, Isaac Cruz did it, but Isaac Cruz got his whole system down, and he's kind of like a bulldog and right, the pit bull thing. It kind of works for him. Also, he had Davis on the move in that fight. I don't think Loma is that guy. I don't think he can do that. I think he has to have, you got to be careful about Davis marching you down. But I think playing angles, touch and go is a real opportunity for him. Yeah.
Damn, any of these matchups, this is what we want. These are the four princes, or whatever you want to call them. This is our era. This is our time. Enjoy it.
We thought 2023 was an insane boxing year. 2024 might be even more insane.
Dude,
so let's talk about it, BC. Let's set the context for this weekend. I know there's a UFC fight this weekend. Great. The biggest one, by far, by a million miles, is not that one. All due respect to Edson Barboza and the crew. BC, Oleksandr Usyk versus Tyson Fury. It is now upon us. It is for literally all the marbles. Well, metaphorically, all the marbles. At heavyweight. A fight like this hasn't happened since 1999, as you indicated, and has never happened in the four-belt era. This is one face, one name, one set of belts, essentially. Okay.
One champion. That's what we always wanted.
So let's set the context for people who might not understand. Yeah. How big is this fight? And exactly, we kind of alluded to it, but give us some details about what makes it so meaningful.
I mean, it's crazy that a fight this big, that means so much to not just the heavyweight division, but by proxy, as the heavyweight division goes, so does boxing, is the famous line there. It affects the sport so much. When Fury upset Vladimir Klitschko in 2015, it ended a heavyweight era. And it was as I like to say, a dark, lonely, cold one with the Klitschko brothers. Not their fault, but there was just nobody for them to fight. They dominated, and especially on the tail end of his run in a very GSP 5 round, let me hit you and hold you type of strategy, and just wasn't exciting. Fury flipped the apple cart upside down. That began this era of light, of illumination, like, oh my God, boxing could actually get their shit together if we have a viable heavyweight division with real stars that want the smoke and can fight. I mean, we got that with this era finally. But we always said it's not really going to matter until this moment. One name, one face, one champion, where we don't have to say, well, no, he's the IBF champion, but that guy over there has the other 3 belts. No. What do you say? You want to talk to people that don't know about boxing but are interested? You want to say the heavyweight champion is fighting Saturday, not the unified or the partial one, the undisputed one.
Who's
so
the
this
guy?
is actually, even though it's become just another fight to some degree, this doesn't have the buzz I thought it would. Maybe it's because it's just another banger blockbuster that Saudi's rolling out. Maybe that's why. But you have 2 all-time great fighters here in Usyk and Fury, both unbeaten, both champion, that are going against each other to not only solve that question of who's the best heavyweight of this modern Renaissance era, but really to produce the potential of like a top 10 heavyweight all time. I know that sounds like crazy and a reach, but let's look at what we have here. You couldn't have a crazier style contrast. You couldn't have a crazier contrast in personalities, separate countries coming together. We are going to have a 4-belt champion, undisputed, unbeaten, and we have a guaranteed rematch on paper. It's Oleksandr Usyk, maybe the greatest cruiserweight in boxing history, who became the first 4-belt undisputed champion by running through a murderer's row of unbeaten candidates and champions to get there. He's a 2-time Olympic gold medalist, and since coming to heavyweight with the whispers of, hey, great run at cruiserweight, great run in the Olympics, but you'll be too small in heavyweight pro boxing. Until he wasn't, until he beat Anthony Joshua twice and endured the heavy shots and stood in there and showed us that he's next level. Well, even though it took a year and a half, once this was the only fight to make to get here, we finally have it. Tyson Fury is the star of stars, still undefeated, 6'9" or so, but
6'7",
6'7"-ish. This gives him an opportunity, Fury, to have really, maybe, arguably, outside of the upset of Klitschko in 2015, and obviously he's got big ticket wins over Wilder twice and Dillian White and all those. This is the most critical, the most important historical critical fight on his resume because of the stakes. If Tyson Fury wants to have a fighting chance of being a top 10 heavyweight at all time, whether that matters to him or not, and I'll be talking to him this week for Morning Kombat, so hopefully we'll get that answer. But like, this is that opportunity. But what about the opportunity for the history on the side of Usyk? It's not just about this being the culmination of this Renaissance era, and we finally have one 4-belt champion and have an undisputed champion for the first time since Lennox Lewis defeated Evander Holyfield in the rematch. Is, Luke, like, you are bringing together for Usyk a chance. You're a 2-time gold medalist at the Olympics at heavyweight. You are arguably the greatest cruiserweight of all time and the 4-belt undisputed champion. And imagine if you become the 4-belt undisputed heavyweight champion, undefeated after beating Anthony Joshua twice and Tyson Fury. Mm-hmm. What the hell would we do with him historically? Seriously.
And we
what
just
the
had,
hell, like,
we
what do you do
just
with
had
that?
this conversation last week, or, you know, who is the best boxer on earth? Is it Terrence Crawford or is it Naoya Inoue? Well, maybe it's neither of those guys.
Maybe it's Oleksandr Usyk. The fact that these 2 heavyweights are coming together with all that history on the line, and the winner might have an argument for pound number 1 in the world right now, when we're talking about Naoya Inoue, Terrence Crawford, and Canelo Alvarez right there. From a historical, hardcore, everything we love about the sport standpoint, this is the fight. This is everything we ever wanted. And yet it's just another super fight in this 2-year crazy stretch where things are wild and out of control. And it's such a great style matchup, which no one's talking about either. Luke, this is the number 1 part about this matchup that is getting me fired up. And the question that I need answered most on Saturday in Saudi is this. Tyson Fury is the ultimate games master, task man, like the guy who can set the mental warfare stage and use that to his advantage, just like he does with his incredible long arms and middleweight quickness in the heavyweight body. But Usyk cannot be shaken mentally, and is almost to the point where he's starting to do mental games back at Fury and has from the beginning. If you can't break him mentally in your Tyson Fury, sure, he's still rightfully the betting favorite. But is this ultimately the boss at the end of the video game that even Tyson Fury, who got floored by Ngannou and made us really start to have to recalibrate where he's at? By the way, he's in the shape of his life for this fight to show you how serious it is. Is Usyk the wrong guy at the wrong time, who's just skilled and determined at a level? Don't forget, 2 years ago, he was on the front lines of war in the Ukraine, and he's back. This might be the true kryptonite for Tyson Fury at the end of this heavyweight video game. It really might be, from a style standpoint and from a mindset standpoint. That wild card part of the matchup, when you're matching up their true skills, it's really hard to define what this fight's going to look like.
I have spent the majority of my time watching Usyk and watching Fury and watching who else they beat and how they beat him. Now, the Joshua one obviously makes it a little bit different, but in general, certainly through the cruiserweight campaign, I've often just thought, not that when he was a cruiserweight, I thought he was going to fight Tyson Fury, but I'm just saying, I've been sort of looking at Tyson Fury as the guy at heavyweight. I thought that Deontay Wilder wins when no one else wanted to fight Deontay. He took him on. Obviously, there was the draw the first time, but then he proved victorious over the course of 3 bouts. And now I don't know anymore. You had the real bad, what do you want to call it, underperformance against Francis Ngannou, whatever that was. I know he eked out the win, but he didn't look great.
He was overweight and underprepared. Let's be fair. Let's be honest and fair.
Okay, but whatever the reasons, did he look great?
No.
He did not look great. And you do have the situation with Usyk getting hit to the body by Dubois that is somewhat controversial, but I believe he would have stood up no matter what. The point I wanted to make is I've had such a long run as like Fury's the guy. And now Fight Week is here, and I don't know the answer to that. Here's what I think is going to be 2 central fault lines in this fight. Number one, let's get back to it. I think Tyson Fury is going to go to that body over and over again because it's not just the Dubois fight where he got hurt to the body. And again, think about how Usyk, his head movement and his timing, it's hard to find. The body is going to be there a lot more. Fury, much bigger guy, might have 40 to 60 pounds on him, depending on what time you naturally anyway. So I think that's going to be a big target for him. I think you're going to get a lot of that. To what extent can Usyk solve for that? To what extent does it hurt him? That's fault line number one. Here's the other one. Dude, Tyson Fury might keep it at the end of his range. But I think he knows Usyk's going to eventually find his way inside. And when he does, he's going to have an answer. Maybe some of the body work is that. But I think the other part is Tyson Fury will break the rules. We all know.
He'll cheat.
Dude, we all have seen the videos, and they're not conclusive, but you wonder if he had his glove higher up on his hand in I think the Wilder rematch.
He was slapping him with sidearm punches, and the glove was higher
here.
than it
There's that. And then how about that elbow that was so intentional on Francis Ngannou? I think Tyson Fury, you're talking about mind games. I don't think this is going to do much to Usyk. But once they get in there and he's locking him up and maybe turning him and maybe tripping him and hanging on him and sneaking.
I want to stop you.
Let me finish. And sneaking through shots that are questionable, that he should not be getting in locations that are kind of borderline. What happens then?
Okay, but there's a big but to that. Tyson Fury changed his body and his style when he dropped Ben Davison, a defensive technical coach who helped him to the first fight a while of the draw, which Fury really won if you really scored that fight the right way. And he wanted to become a knockout puncher. I think it was more the influence from what happened in the Otto Wallin fight, where he was cut and Fury suddenly had to like maul and hold and be the bigger man. Whatever. What Fury did to prepare for the Wilder fights 2 and 3 was become a knockout puncher, become as big as possible. His father, John Fury, who, by the way, we're going to get to in a second, has always said, I think my son's at his best when he's 300 pounds or more. And he was openly critical of how light Tyson Fury weighed in the first Wilder fight when Ben Davison was his trainer. Luke, what have we seen since then? We've seen a Fury who, even when in shape, has the love handles and the big belly, and we've just come to say, look, that's the Fury package. He's going to lean on you. Have you seen the pictures of Fury, Luke, leading up to here?
He looks lean. He is, relatively speaking, lean.
No, he's the leanest I've seen him since the Klitschko fight, since 2015, I think, or maybe since the first Wilder fight. The leanest by far with the abs that I've ever seen him.
So that's a strong word.
That doesn't tell me that he's necessarily planning to lean all over Usyk and just try to rely on being the bigger man, along with some strategic key cheating. And by the way, B-Hop was a great cheater too. I mean, there is a strategic way in cheating, okay? But Luke, I'm not seeing that in the body. What the body's telling me is that, okay, we saw how fat Tyson Fury was in the Ngannou fight and everything just looked horrible, including, by the way, his mental reaction to getting dropped, Luke. He became the boxer after that. He became the, like, let me hit and hold and just try to get out of there. That was surprising, but maybe you can just write it off as bad stamina, knew he was in a bad spot. He is physically leaving no stone unturned. So can he still be that guy and lean all over him? I think he's knowing he's going to have to turn this into a 12-round chess match. It might have to be that. So he's got to have the stamina for that. He's got to have the quickness for that. That's what the body shape is telling me right here.
Yes, I would agree with some of that, but I still feel like you're going to have a bigger frame. You're going to have a longer reach. These things have to come into play. But once he breaks through your defenses, there has to be a secondary game. And I think that secondary game is going to be full of cheating. I really do believe that. Like, who's the referee for this contest? Do we know?
I don't know yet.
I think they have their hands full. And again, I want to be clear. It's not like, oh, you're saying he's a dirty fighter. Well, sort of. Like, not in the I'm desperate, I'm going to bite this guy to get out of it. No, I don't mean that. I mean crafty veteran who will do everything he can, including absorbing referee warnings maybe even a point deduction to do whatever he can to rattle his opponent, to off-balance him, to introduce some kind of strange factor here, whatever you can do. On top of that, his size, and on top of that, his skill. The combination of the three, I think, is what you're really going to get here.
All right, as we lean into the prediction part here, Luke, and sort of try to really figure out what Saturday does look like, I think you would echo me in saying that all along, once Usyk put himself in a position to be viable, that we thought this fight could eventually happen, we've said what? Great fight, but Fury's too big, too skilled, and too quick, even at 6'7.5" or whatever he is, that he's going to get it done. He's been always the favorite in our mind, as he should have been. Fury is an all-time heavyweight. Let's be very fair and honest about that. He ruins the mythical matchups when you're talking about Joe Louis or Rocky Marciano at 5'11" and or 5'10" and what, like 185 pounds. Are those guys going to compete against 6'9" and 275? I don't think so. Seriously, it ruins that kind of divide. But I think the last couple years, it hasn't. Fury's not washed. He's not over the hill. He always plays up or down to the level of his competition, which does explain when he has a bad night. And he has, before the Fury upset, he had a lot of bad nights, to be fair, where he was fat and just uninspired.
He got dropped by Steve Cunningham.
He is a gamer, so he can turn it up for the big ones. But so is Usyk. Usyk has an ability to rise to the occasion to another level. Think the Myris Bradis fight in the semifinals of the World Boxing Super Series tournament at cruiserweight. Think the Joshua fights. He steps up to another level and takes it to a higher notch. That's a wild card element in here. I think the time when you add in the Ngannou situation, even if you can completely write that off as being too heavy and not focused, I just think Usyk's peaking. Like Usyk is arriving here where Fury's more in a maintenance mode of trying to hold it all together. Like I do think Fury has extended the life of this fight seemingly purposely. It should have happened a year ago, right? It should have happened a year and a half ago. Okay, we're finally having it. I think I'm ready to pick Usyk in this matchup for the first time. I don't know exactly how he's going to do it, though, because it's going to depend on exactly what Fury we're getting. But we know that for as technically brilliant as he is, Usyk can be daring in very good ways. Luke, is it possible that he can win a 12-round chess match, meaning Usyk, without having the ability to hurt Fury at all, in your eyes?
Yes. I don't think he has any other way to win. He has to outsmart him. He has to be the craftier of the two.
I think he has the chin to endure what Fury has to offer. If he took Joshua's punches, I think that's true.
Wow. Do you want to hear the odds on DraftKings
Please.
for this fight? How many times do you see a boxing main event with odds like this with this much at stake?
Was
Ready?
it like plus 125 or something?
Tyson Fury, according to our friends at DraftKings, minus 120.
Wow.
Oleksandr Usyk plus 100. That is about as close to and dude, this is for all the marbles at heavyweight. This is for the guy.
Don't forget in New York City that time I walked up to Eddie Hearn and said, Eddie, I love you, but Usyk's coming for your boy Joshua. He's going to shake up this heavyweight division, and he's going to have a shot at the end of the day to fight for the undisputed championship. And he said, no, too small, can't do it. Luke, Usyk has constantly, and whatever we say he can't do, he keeps climbing and he does it. I think there is a path to victory here. I think I'm picking Usyk here by upset because you saw the odds, which that's what Vegas is telling us. That's what the true people in the know, the sharps, the smarts are telling you. How does Fury change that, though? How does Fury humble that? Even if we get the best version possible of Usyk, can the best version possible of Fury, and can he still access that? Can he get the job done?
I really believe he has to hurt Usyk. I really believe that. He has to change Usyk's calculations. And I saw a preview. I forget the gentleman's name. You have to forgive me, a British guy. And he made a very standard point.
You talking about Lee Wiley?
No. It was a guy on camera. I forget his name. It was for TNT. And he had pointed out, like, if you again, go back to it. If you try to find the head of Usyk, it's really quite difficult to do. It's the head movement, the slotting, the pre-slips. It's just hard to know what's coming. But you go to the body, it changes a lot. More to the point, he was saying, what is one of the very best parts of Usyk's game? It's his footwork. His footwork is extraordinary. Well, how do you take some of that away? How do you slow him down? You gotta roast his ribs.
Yeah.
And I really believe if I'll say this, if Fury can't meaningfully hurt him to the body, he can't win. I firmly believe that. If Usyk is on the move, right? If Usyk is not hurt and on the move, how do you beat that guy? Seriously, how do you beat that guy? If he can do both of those things,
he's so brilliant.
He is unhurt and he can move. You're fucked. You're super fucked.
Usyk has these sidearm punches that are hard to pick up. They go around the guard.
Yes.
He knocked Tony Bellew out with that. I mean, he's got a creativity to his offense that is really going to give Fury pause. But again, with Fury coming in this level shape, I think we're going to see active guard Fury again, like the first Wilder fight, like the Klitschko fight. I think he's realizing maybe the only way to beat this wizard is to out-wizard him. Uses size, yes. Uses power advantage, yes. But he's not coming in, I don't think, as the 300-pound heavyweight looking to deliver the big blow.
For the purposes of the show, I'll make a pick, but
you don't have to, Luke. I'm not going to shame you.
Well, no, I think it's important because it's a fun contest.
We got to show John Fury's bloody head in a second.
Some of the other places have this as a straight-up pick 'em, but friends at DraftKings, -120 for Tyson Fury. I think right now I'm feeling Usyk as well. I feel like, to your point, he went through cruiserweight. Well, that's fine. I mean, heavyweight's not the best division, but it's a different one than cruiserweight. And then he's just carving these guys up too. I feel like his boxing, I don't know if anyone has his boxing IQ in the heavyweight division, and maybe all of boxing. He is wouldn't you agree with this, BC? He is the elite problem solver.
No question about it. But you make a great point about the odds and about it being difficult to know where to put your money this Saturday.
Indeed.
When it comes to this great fight.
But we have good news on that level.
We do, because we have partnered with a great partner in DraftKings.
That's right. DraftKings, boys and girls, has got you covered really for every fight and for every big sports moment. But for certainly, let's say this case, Fury versus Usyk, our friends at DraftKings have you covered. So here's what we want you guys to do. All right. By the way, you can let us know in the comments who you think is going to win and what your picks are. But we want you to join our partners at DraftKings right now. So all new customers, BC, who bet $5 on this, or really anything, will receive $150 in bonus bets instantly. All you got to do is download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and sign up using the promo code MK. Couldn't be simpler. MK. Isn't that right, BC?
That is right. So let's stay in the action and stay in the game here. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today. As Luke said, put $5 on anything and instantly receive $150 in bonus bets, but only if you use our code MK. Damn right.
All right, get that down. Get the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. The crown is yours.
Use our code MK. Luke, to close on this, you could say there hasn't been a viral moment yet between these two. Is there enough, hatred to sell this fight on the level? Well, the history sells it. John Fury's here, and if you don't know the father of Tyson Fury, Big John Fury, the man, a fighting man who will literally fight anybody shirtless right now, anywhere to prove his manhood. The reason why you've never seen something like we're about to show you is because Tyson Fury used to fight in the States all the time before the Daniel Kinahan situation, and John Fury's not allowed to fly to the U.S. Why, Luke?
He may have gouged a man's eye out.
In a bar.
Allegedly.
And did time for it. Well, John Fury showed up here in Saudi to try to hype this fight up. Let's go to the videotape. Luke, if you can see it right there, Big John Fury just headbutted.
Show him one more time if you can.
A member of Team Usyk.
Watch. Oh, there it is.
God.
Dude, have I ever told you the story about this one time I was at a bar and I saw a guy headbutt another guy and it fucked him up proper?
No, but I've seen, and Luke, here is the iconic post photo of the original Gypsy King, Big John Fury.
So my understanding on headbutts, and I am no headbutt expert by any stretch of the imagination, is you're supposed to do it closer to the hairline, which is where the everything is the strongest for you, both skin and bone. And his is a little bit more down here. I saw a guy in a bar one time. These two guys were jawing at each other, and the other one went back. Wow. And he shattered the other guy's nose. And blood, I mean, it sprayed everywhere when he did it. It was really fucked up.
Anyone that's ever been to Rookies in Cromwell, Connecticut knows about bar fights. Good Lord. That's what I've seen. I've seen some gross ones. All right, Luke, we got to keep the show moving because I have epic shit to come, but we got to hear from the people.
With that in mind, it's time for you guys to ask us questions. It's time for DMs from the Diggity Donk. Let's do it. Here's a donkey having sex.
Yeah, can we change that already? Long Island Luke. Sir?
Yes, we can change it.
Thank you very much. Is your dad from Perth, Western Australia, by the way?
No, he's from Melbourne.
All right.
You mean Melbourne?
Yeah.
They just dropped like 8 letters to pronounce that way. All right, let's see what you got first. I haven't even looked at these. Here we go. From Big Daddy Roundtree. Thoughts on Dana giving himself / UFC credit for the great fights, but blaming his fighters that he hired and booked, by the way, when the fights are boring. Isn't that funny? Like when it's UFC 300, this is what we do. When the fights are bad, well, that's what they did.
I mean, Dana's, you have to assume he's lying.
He's a promoter. Every promoter lies.
So
every single promoter lies.
But, Luke, it goes a little deeper than that lately. Like him being like, I told everybody, when are we going to get out of the Apex? It's like, no, that's what the media's been crying for forever. This coincides, I think, with this video that's getting a lot of viralness of Dana on the
virality
on the Bill. Is it Bill Maher? Bill Maher, right?
Bill Maher's got, I think it's Club fuckos.
Let's listen to this quote, and we'll see the subsequent reaction here from Gray Maynard. This is Dana White talking about mental health.
I don't want to ever fucking talk about my feelings with another fucking dude. But
you don't mean that. That's too far. I mean,
no, I'm that guy. I'm that guy. It drives my wife fucking crazy. No, I don't want to talk about my feelings. I'm one of those fucking old school guys. You know, when you talk about men's mental health and that men have to carry this burden and yeah, that's what we fucking do. Guess what? Somebody's got to get up. I have a family, right? I have children. I got to get up every day and go to fucking work, and I have to, do what I have to do. And no, I don't. I mean, I'm a shit about my feelings. You see these guys these days on fucking social media, like, hey, fucking, you know what I'm saying? Just talking about their bad day and this happened, and I'm fucking.
Oh, right.
And shut the fuck up.
Oh, I know.
Get up.
Oh, I know.
Get the fucking work and do what you got to do, and be a fucking man. Be a man.
I tell you.
Just be a man.
Dude, die on the job, unhappy, by numbing your feelings.
Well, I want to say before we throw to the Gray Maynard tweet that I'm not going to sit here and continue this grudge against Dana and be like everything is negative. Like I agree with the premise of I think what he's trying to say, which is like sometimes in life to be that guy, to be the provider, to be the leader or the boss, you got to just bite down and get through it. That's the American ingenuity spirit. But when you close it with like be a man and you sort of make it a negative slant against mental health in general, or the seeking of treatment.
Do people not understand what happens during therapy? First of all, you can look this up. Please don't take my word for it. Do not take my word for it. The amount of evidence that talk therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, that it works is overwhelming for men and women. Yeah. It's overwhelming. Therapy is not a time where you show up and you cry about how sad your life is. Certainly, if you have, if your wife or child died, yes, you could do that. It's a roadmap to understanding why you feel the way you feel, what decisions you have made in the course of your life that brought you here, what the events that have happened to you have brought you here, and a roadmap to get past it. It is not about indulging your own suffering as a way to make people feel sorry for you. It is a way to release and move on from the suffering by understanding why it's happening, so it doesn't keep happening again.
100%.
What the fuck are people talking about?
Let's go to ex-title contender Gray Maynard here, who quote tweeted this and said, talking about Dana, this guy's middle name is feelings, anger, compulsive gambling, caught on film hitting his wife, Twitter rants, interview rants. His life is feelings, emotions. I can't believe people buy that shit. Also, just because you have money doesn't mean you have emotional intelligence or you're a tough guy.
Also, by the way, the whole thing is like there's like alpha motivation was the account or whatever.
That's a free throw line dunk right there.
It's a dunk. But the point being is like it's this video about like, hey, don't do anything with your feelings except ignore them. And they're playing Coldplay in the background, one of the most emo fucking bands of all fucking time. Like, it wasn't like they were playing Pantera or something in the background. It was Coldplay. More to the point, it's like, dude, if you're making hit pieces about media members, you feel more than anybody else.
When you're actively driving away media from your events and trying to retrain the public
because
to look
at
media like an enemy, that means you can't take constructive criticism, and you can't even, unfortunately, Luke, and this is why we complain about press conferences, you can't even entertain criticism or anything subjective in even a conversation or debate. Like it's sort of like, so in general, when Dana is saying one thing and doing another, it's tough. But I love this, like, fuck my emotions. So that means you just get to be angry all the time and just rant on everyone.
This is how, I mean, listen, if I had friends who were billionaires and maybe I made a ton of money, I might feel differently about this, but the evidence is clear. Therapy is real. It works. Not every time, not for everybody, not in every situation. But this idea that you can just hold on to your feelings and outwork them, you can numb yourself through professional exploits. Guys, again, the camera's already on me. Look at me. You are destined for a life of unhappiness, and people will not want to be around you.
Hopefully you have Dana's money, though, hopefully.
Unless you have Dana's money, in which case you can fix a lot of problems.
Well, some of them, but not all of them, as Gray Maynard pointed out. Let's go to the second one here, Luke.
All right. You don't know Tyler.
I don't know him.
You're right, I don't know him.
All.
What would another loss look like for Josh Taylor at this point? That's out of left field.
Well, he's going to have the rematch with Jack Catterall coming up. When
is that scheduled for?
In the next couple of
months. The one where Catterall got robbed like a motherfucker. So Catterall got robbed,
and then since then, even though Josh Taylor lost his status even though he retained his titles in that fight, Josh Taylor was stripped of a bunch of his belts, so he was the undisputed 140-pound champion for beating Jose Ramirez. But when he went into that Teofimo fight, it was still the lineal 140 title at stake. And look, we saw Teofimo remind us of his pound-for-pound ability. I thought Josh Taylor fought well that night, but where's Josh Taylor at, Luke? He's at that early mid-30s level where could still win a major big fight. This is still another big payday he can get here in this Catterall rematch.
May 25th.
But if he lost here, it would tell us that he's even closer to being past his prime, right? He was a great fighter when he was on top.
The fight against Prograis is one of the best ones.
Split decision over 12 rounds in that World Boxing Series tournament for the 140-pound title. 2 unbeaten guys coming in. Yes, Josh Taylor was a very good pound-for-pound ranked and at one point the undisputed champion at 140. But he does have to win this, Luke. He does have to right the wrong of having survived in advance a fight that we all thought he lost. If he does lose it, it tells us a lot about the direction he's going.
Paul Pierce dropped an N-word on, what's that show he does with Skip? Undisputed?
Oh, on like live TV?
Yeah, live TV. Look at this N-word.
Well, who recently said that? Oh, Nate Diaz said that too
Did he?
on the Baddest tour when he dropped the mic and walked off.
At least Paul Pierce is black. I mean, he's got
right,
that. He can make it work.
Do you think there's a new conspiracy theory going along that when he was in the wheelchair for the 2008 finals against the Lakers, that he actually had shit his pants and he was just trying to get wheeled out so people know?
So I can't comment to the proof of it, but wouldn't surprise me.
We have a shot. He's in the network. He's in the family, right?
You gotta ask
all
him,
the smoke production.
Did you take a dump in your
We
dungarees?
need to get that on camera and ask him.
All
yes.
right, next. Spot 316. If AI was able to accurately assess things like damage, how would you feel about it being used to judge fights? Holy fucking shit, what a horrible question.
Yeah, stop that. Stop
Guys,
the madness.
AI can't even tell you the fucking truth. It's, oh my God. People think AI is so much more advanced than it actually is. I have a ChatGPT subscription, and so I use it actually quite regularly for a variety of different functions. It is interesting what it can do, and certainly I've seen some of the more I think I forget who has it, OpenAI or somebody else has the video capabilities. What's the name of the company? It's like Solar or Solara that can produce video based on text prompts.
Okay.
AI being able to assess damage is not even something within the fucking realm of possibility.
Why are we giving it all to the
anytime
robots?
soon?
Have we not watched science fiction movies? Like, why are we just actively giving away all of the control to the computers? Because all we need, by the way, is for the power to go out and nobody can access their ATMs for Armageddon to arrive.
AI tools are real. Generative AI can actually do some wonderful things. It is valuable. But I just want to say this. People think AI is so much more advanced than it actually is. And there's a bubble that's going to pop around this shit, and I cannot fucking wait for it to pop.
Well, then, I mean, did you see the Clone Wars movie? Look, we might end up there one day. All right,
All right, next. Daryl_Gem. Hypothetical matchup, BC. How would a fight between this 27-year-old McGregor, age when he fought Aldo, versus a 27-year-old Topuria? I think it'd be a great matchup stylistically, even though current Ilya seems like a potential generational talent. The answer is Topuria. He'd take him down and fuck him up proper. That's how.
Okay, we're also talking about the mountaintop version of Conor, who we said
at 145,
Jose will fix the wrong, and what did he do? He lured Jose into walking into the first big punch.
Topuria is the next generation.
I get that, but you can't discount the wild card nature of what.
Sure, I wouldn't. Yeah,
that's the Mystic Mac, Conor. That's the magic. Conor.
I'm not in any way saying that winning by McGregor is impossible. But you're saying, gun to my head, I got to make a pick.
You got to kind of slow your roll a bit because I love Ilya.
Why?
But
He's undefeated.
You're almost ruining the experience.
He just wrecked.
Like, I can't wait for Max to beat him now just to humble you, and I don't want to see you go through that heartbreak. Hold on. I don't want to see you go through that heartbreak. I don't have ill will for you.
It's not going to be heartbreak. What are you going to do?
Like, remember that John Jones rant you said about just either fight or give up the belt? Okay, fight Max or give up the belt. All right, it's time.
Well, I agree with that, certainly. Okay. But my point is this. What are you going to do if he actually becomes the first guy to knock out Max? And I'm serious question. What are you going to do?
1-800-Flowers, okay? I mean, I will be there.
Like, I love
with
Max,
the bouquet.
And I actually don't think he'll finish Max. I don't think he will. I don't think he will.
But do you remember when, and I don't damn you for this, but when you aggressively said Haney will tune Ryan Garcia like a guitar, now every time you comment on boxing, people are like, ain't that the guy who said Guy was going to lose? Guys,
I've had some winners. I've had some winners. I've had some losers.
We all said that, by the way. We all said that.
Yeah, I've had some. Also, Chris Algieri said it.
But you can't hide this erection through security, Luke. People, it's getting in the way. It's blinding you. Okay?
Everyone wants to be like, he's inaccessible as a personality that I don't like, which I understand he is. I don't deny any of those charges. And then they're transmogrifying that into, oh, he must not be that good of a fighter because I can't make a connection with him. Guys.
Why does it have to be transmogrified? Why can't it be non-binary?
I really dislike you. But I'm trying to point out something. You're letting your personal feelings about his personality dictate how you think a fight's going to go. Stop doing that. All right, next. 45 Herman 9. Name your dream blunt rotations. 3 people from UFC roster. Okay, my dream rotation is not 3 fighters, just being candid.
Okay, for the purpose of this exercise, provide 3 and only 3. Don't do the Luke Thomas. I'll give you 33 names.
Throw the question up one more time. I want to see the parameters. Current or former.
You have to commit to 3.
Okay, here we go. Ready?
Yep.
Nate Diaz.
Oh, yeah.
Nate Diaz. That's 1. 2.
I got mine ready to go.
Okay. Man, that's a tough one. Nate Diaz is my first one. Okay, you go first because I actually don't know the answer.
All
to
right,
that.
we'll alternate. My number 1 draft pick, Max Holloway.
Oh, it's a great one.
I mean, it would be the best hangout experience possible, right? You know, bruh, it would be great.
Okay.
In fact, we should do it on the 13th island. Where's that?
That's 9th Island, you mean?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I went Nate, you went Max. I'll go. Boy, that's current or former. I wish I could say Josh Rosenthal, the referee, but I can't. Could be male or female, right?
Yep.
Male or female.
You're only getting 3. You can't do the Luke Thomas add-on where you add 15 more names to not insult him.
Man,
You want me to go again?
Yeah, go again.
You ready for this draft pick? Dean Thomas.
That's a
Give
great
me
one.
the ass
Fucking
cop
hell.
for days,
Fucking
okay?
hell.
Wow. Imagine me, Max, and Dean getting down.
Oh God, your rotation's so much better than mine already. Can you go 3?
I can go 3 right
All right,
now.
give me 3.
Put the camera on me. Is there any doubt? You want a champion, okay? How's that for the 4 horsemen right there of blunt rotation, okay?
It's like BC. Why did you bring a condom to a blunt rotation? I don't.
Seriously, think of the conversations, the laughter, the
Yeah.
camaraderie, because it's all alphas in that group. Of the 4.
Yeah, it is all alphas. Yeah.
The American one, the South Florida one, the Polish one. I mean, we are.
Okay, so 1 is going to be Nate Diaz, and people are going to clown me for my second one, but you know I'm right about this. 2 would be Arnold Allen.
Over Ilya Topuria? I thought you were going to go.
We said blunt
I'll just
rotation.
take Ilya.
We said blunt rotation.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what
we don't even need weed. Just give me Ilya.
He's not funny. He's funny as shit.
Yeah.
He's super funny.
Arnold Allen is awesome.
He's great. All right, so for my third one, I feel like I got to pick a woman. Otherwise, I'm being
You don't have
misogynist.
to. You don't have to, Luke. Okay, even though the future is female, you don't have to.
Man, that's a tough one.
Dude, I can't stop listening to like emo female indie folk right now, like the Boy Genius supergroup. You into them? Oh my god.
I'd rather get fucked to death by an 8.
I mean, I do drive an orange Subaru.
Closer I am to find.
Building a mystery.
All right, so for my third one, help me out here.
No,
Luke.
no,
Hold
he
on, I'm
can't
gonna
help
phone a friend. I'm phoning a friend.
God, you ruin every fun game. Just pick a third name.
I'm going to say Corey Sandhagen. I feel like he'd have some cool high thoughts.
No,
He'd get weird. He'd get a little
Yeah,
weird.
Give me an alternate choice. Who's your 3 then? If you go Corey, who's your other 2?
Fuck, man. I don't know.
Are you guys kidding me? Derrick Lewis? I mean, come on.
Derrick Lewis is good.
He's just gonna do a lot of skits and bits.
Okay, Conor McGregor in that group? Well, then it would be a lot more than weed. I think.
Yeah,
I think it would be
I don't want to.
tequila white
I don't
lightning
want
over
to get
there. Yeah.
Can I go Nick Diaz? Just both Diaz brothers and,
Yeah,
and Arnold
that's-
Allen? That'd be
that's-
kind of fun, right?
That's not bad at all.
All right, there we
Okay,
go.
all right.
Any more? Is that it? All right. Time. Okay, hold on. I laid down the gauntlet. I put a challenge to this man to stop phoning it in, quite literally, for have you seen this shit? BC, what have you produced? It's time for BC's
Yesterday,
Pieces.
I scoured the globe and the internet for the highs and lows, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the in-between from the worlds of combat sports and beyond. Oh, you want to challenge me? Oh, you want a war? Okay. Have you seen this shit, Luke Thomas?
My wife wants me to take her to a Def Leppard concert. Did I take her?
Nah. See, I respect their music, but I always thought also
Photograph is a banger.
Okay, their music is their top
got
2
hits.
albums.
They got hits.
I saw a cover band on a cruise, and I went to see them twice because they were so good. But I still think they're a little lame and a little overrated, even though they do have great hits.
I don't want your photograph. It's a good track.
All right, I had even better ones, but apparently the main
The North Korean censors.
no, the main license plate Instagram account is apparently private, so a lot of them
okay, all
got
right.
scrubbed. But here we go. UFC St. Louis, everybody. We mentioned Derrick Lewis did a lot of things. I'll only show you one though. When he showed his ass, Luke throws the cup.
Through his cup.
Will there be any warnings? Will there be any mentions of him doing this right here?
Oh, he did. Oh, I missed that part actually. I'm first time seeing this.
Crack kills, Luke, and he went for it.
Crack was an
I
epidemic.
mean, how do you top this? That's the question. You got to go full frontal. That's the
Have
only
you
way.
seen Borat where they go the focus group with the rednecks and then he has the guy with the dick and balls waving up and down like this?
Yeah,
you got
that's
to
wild.
do the Borat group.
We mentioned Joaquin Buckley did everything right on Saturday except for the call out. Here we go.
Didn't go great.
I think I know which
Who do you want next?
Yes. Look here. Who do I want next, huh? He got a fight already booked up, but it's a massive name. There's only one name you should call out if you're on this mic, a powerful name. That name is Conor McGregor. I want you. You fighting at 170, but you ain't fighting a lightweight, welterweight. You fighting a lightweight. Don't boo now. You fighting a lightweight midget. Come at me, bro. Come at me. You said you built your weight up, but you bullying Sean O'Malley and Ryan Garcia. Come and bully me, dog. Come and bully me, and let's see what you're really about. I did research on the McGregor name. And you come from a long line of McHo. Your daddy was a hoe. No. Your granddaddy was a hoe. No. Your great-great-grandpappy was a hoe. So I guess it's safe to say your mama raised the hoe. And guess what? If you don't respond, and I bet the money I ain't even got, bet you won't. The whole world know I'm telling the truth. It's my time. And if you want to be the king, you got to behead the king. It's time to take the throne.
I wish I had more hands. I'd give that call out.
Oh, wow.
4 thumbs down. I actually like him a lot.
I love him.
And I love his
whole
jovial.
crowd booed him, though.
Well, so they booed him, but then they cheered him.
Right.
He won him back a little bit, but
Should it have been Ian Gary? It should have been, right?
It would have been a lot more. I think it would have been a lot better.
That would have put him on a higher tax bracket if Gary responded
By the way,
to
if
it.
they make that fight, I would love that fight.
Sure,
You know.
sure. I'm with you. Joaquin Buckley did a lot of good, though, Saturday. Not just the victory. How about the victory lap in the crowd with the apex predator himself, front row in St. Louis? Luke, we're talking about the legend killer, Randy Orton. Did you see this?
I'm not sure I know who Randy Orton is. Wait. Hold on. Let's test my knowledge because I saw this on TikTok. Is this the guy that does the RKO?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
The son of Cowboy Bob Orton, also a Hall of Famer?
I don't know who that is. Yeah. I definitely don't know who that
All
is.
right. Third generation
Is this guy,
wrestler.
does he still wrestle?
Yes. He's in his mid-40s now, but he's in his, legend
That brick that
status.
motherfucker, or-
Oh, yeah. He's still got it. Yeah.
Wow.
He's amazing, Luke. Love him. All right, we didn't mention, but you know who had a bad night was Terrence McKinney because he's all or nothing, Luke. He will give you the highlight,
You know
or
what,
he will
dude? Hold on.
be.
You know what I love about Terrence McKinney? This is his deal.
This is what he does. Yeah.
Either he's gonna blow your fucking brains out, or that's gonna happen.
But
every time.
Esteban Ribovic from Argentina is
No,
my.
I think it's Ribovics. I think it's just read it as it is. Ribovics.
I'll call him Gaucho, Luke, because this cowboy is
Gaucho.
ready to
No, they call him
party.
El Gringo. That's his
El
nickname.
Gringo is his nickname, which is brilliant enough. But this guy, like Martin Bater, PBC translator, this cowboy is ready to party. Luke, he looks good. Can I get excited on an Ilya level for this guy?
Not yet, but that was definitely a fucking amazing win. And by the way, do you know what Tukey calls you?
Ooh, yeah, what? Uncle Gringo?
Uncle Gringo.
Yes, yes. El
By,
Gringo.
by
and
name.
Does-
She's asked me if you're my brother.
Wow.
I was like, no, but he is my. Well, I'm gonna.
Okay. Luke, we mentioned Mateusz Rebecki.
Rebecki, I'm
who
not sure.
was the biggest favorite on the card, lost to Fajeda. Here is the picture in the hospital.
Jesus
Oh, my God.
Christ.
I mean, this is a horror.
And for
This
what,
is-
40, 50K? So somewhere around there, probably.
Damn. This sport.
That is fucking
this,
brutal, bro.
This sport, Luke. Unbelievable. We mentioned Robelis de Spain at 6'7".
Robelis.
Luke, Waldo, what is it? Waldo Cortez Acosta?
Yeah.
I mean, he's tough, but he really couldn't even do much with the Spain on the ground, right? Even
I
though
mean,
he's-
this was not a great fight. I mean,
Well-
Dana was right to say that this fight was not good.
Yes.
It's like y'all booked it.
I mean, if the Spain won, he was probably fighting Derrick Lewis next. Seriously,
So I
but
agree.
Not only was he awful on the ground, here's him attempting to dunk Luke at 6'7".
How can you be that tall and be like a medalist in Taekwondo?
Well, he's barefoot though. He is barefoot.
You should still have more ups than that. I mean,
Yeah, right. There you go. All right.
Robelis.
Luke, tip to tip is a thing. It's a brand. It's what men do,
It's what a couple men do.
including the men from Golden Boy Promotions. Look, what do you think of this? Oscar and B-Hop. This is a Christmas card right here. This is great.
Oh, that is, dude. Someone's got to Photoshop our heads on that. That is fucking
I get to be the golden boy, Luke.
All right, you can be Oscar with the weird abs.
And you
That's
get to
fine.
meet men in the men's room and
beat them the fuck
beat
up.
them up. All right, let's go to Lomachenko Kambosos from Perth. Luke, here's the ringside angle of Loma walking down and finishing.
Dude, look at that. Dude.
Just
that, and the towel comes in. He went to fucking work on this dude. Oh.
bop. As Luke would say.
No attempt at defense. Didn't need it.
All right, I'm not going to play the clip because it's too long. Did you see the ring announcer who's under fire for in the co-main event? It was a women's fight.
I saw
the title fight. He announced the wrong winner and then had a backpedal. This is what he did earlier in the card, Luke. What do you think of this?
Ladies and gentlemen, would somebody somewhere make some noise? Introducing first, making his
Luke, I think
where is the Apollo hook when you need it?
I mean, I think that's the same shtick he does at the strip club where he's the DJ. Probably, Luke. He's like, no, it'll work here in the as well. That's that. Let's keep it going.
Hip hop horn.
Nothing you love more than bad parenting and vaping, right?
That's true.
Let's put them together in this video.
Yeah, as a puppy, he was still a big fluff ball.
Oh, that's great, right? It's so good.
That is so perfect white trash.
Yeah.
It's the best.
All right. Hey, big week for hockey jerseys, Luke. Okay, let's go to the hockey jersey of the week on this guy.
Is this like my balls itch?
You ever seen number 13 here on the ice,
Yeah,
Luke? Yeah,
my balls itch.
There you go. Shout out to that guy. Also, watch this guy in the
my favorite Polish hockey player. My balls itch.
Watch this guy in the Maple Leafs jersey interrupt this news broadcast.
Get the baby cock out of your mouth. Get the baby cock out of your mouth.
Sorry about that, everyone. That really startled me. It was about 2% for membership fees. And there has been a lot of, controversy over the use of those membership fees for good reason. But they only comprise about 2%.
Did you do the Adesanya right there? Did you do the Adesanya?
He was clearly on his way to a job as a corporate attorney, I'm sure.
All right. Also, Luke, watch this hockey fan in a jersey go ham in a live setting here.
What's my man looking at? Feet? Oh.
It's like, Mr. Aioli, I know you're here for the playoff game, but please.
That's a little inside baseball.
Oh, wow.
Oh, he's all... Dude, I'm telling you, if I had fucked up feet... or
look at this, though. He's taking shots of the cheerleaders.
Yeah, dude, if I had feet that I could sell to make money, I would be straight up selling feet.
You should sell your feet to research, Luke, because they're actually worse than mine.
I don't know if that's true.
We should have a foot off on air.
We should have a rotten foot off and see who's got the worst feet.
I'm willing to do that.
Deal?
That's Howard Stern level business right there. Okay, I'm in on that.
Wait, hold on. We have to consummate that. Do it. Like E.T. phone home.
You know why we have to do this? Because you're not man enough to put your beard on the line.
Again, I don't know why you want to have sex with me so badly.
Car crash of the week time.
Is this in D.C.?
I think so.
Oh, fuck!
Oh, look at that ending. Wow.
That has to be like Baltimore or some shit.
I was just going to say, it's like the corners on The Wire, right? This is great.
You know what? I'm not even going to ask you if anybody lived. I don't want to know.
Yeah. Hey, turns out it was a big week for asses too, Luke, okay? Look at this piece of business here.
Do you happen to have this lady's phone number? I have some follow-up questions.
She does kids' parties, Luke, no doubt about it.
Yeah, Tukey just turned 5, but we can maybe figure something out for age 6.
You think I'm afraid to use a bidet due to outdated homophobia?
Yeah, I think you're so homophobic you don't want to use a bidet.
It's not true. It's not. Well, I've never used one because I'm scared of it, Luke. But what do you think of this? Are you constipated a lot in your life, Luke?
No, I eat a lot of fiber.
All right, what do you think about? Would you endure this to fix if you were like the most constipated you've ever been?
Yeah, let's see.
So imagine that's your sphincter.
Yeah, I got rocks in my anus. I can't.
Watch what this thing does. Relief.
I think that's a bit much.
I mean, Richard Gere was looking to see if there's like a spot underneath for gerbils to enter, but
that's a 1990s urban myth,
like early 90s.
Early 90s that has just endured because we're all stupid.
Pretty much. All right. Luke, that's not the only salad that got tossed this week. Wow. Who wrote that? Yeah, let's go to this Jeep.
These fucking monsters. Let go of the Jeep, douchebag.
All right. Hey.
Dude, these guys, this doesn't happen in Connecticut, and I don't know if it happens in New York City.
Wait, what does it say in Spanish? Could you go back to the video?
0 to 69 in a second, yeah.
Yeah. That's a good joke, right? Come on, it's a good joke.
Oh, that is? Oh, I didn't even notice. Wait, one more time. I was paying attention to his fucked up hands.
No, watch that.
Oh, yeah, take that. A fistful of my dick and balls.
With maple syrup or jelly. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Todd, were you going to say something about ass play?
No, these guys who come on the four-wheelers,
Yeah.
they'll get like 30 of them, and then they ride down the streets of D.C. It's a huge problem. I hate it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, kids these days. Hey, let's look at your knockouts of the week. This is from Pro Box TV. Here's Terrence Williams giving it to
Stuck him with the left hook.
Jonathan Ariel Sosa. Luke, that's dangerous.
He's doing the Tunga Vailoa bit.
Oh, my God. Cross legs, too. Luke.
Fencing is what they call it.
But look at the cross legs on the finish, too.
Double up on that left hook.
Big KO there, man. Damn.
Boom.
Double left hook. Let's go to PFL Mina. You're saying it?
That's right. Middle East, North
Here's
Africa.
Haltan Al-Saif.
And she had fed her one of these before, and then there was no defense, but it didn't quite land.
Is this a kickboxing match? What
No,
is
this was MMA, and she just cut her up with a sword.
Oh, wow.
They're just covered because I guess of
Those aren't 4-ounce gloves, are they?
Those are like sparring MMA gloves or bag MMA gloves.
And why are they wearing full outfits here? Because of the culture?
Yeah, I think that there's some religious concerns about modesty.
Your third knockout of the week contender is from a pinata match, Luke.
Okay. So far, so good.
Oh, boy.
She can't crack it open. Oh, they're moving it on her.
Oh! And look at the kids.
And the kids are like, fuck your face, abuela. I want the Choco Ramo.
All right, weird week for pro wrestling, Luke. I think this is Mexico. I don't know if this is legal.
Bro, they just toss small. Oh, what the fuck,
God.
man? Is that a kid?
I think it's an adult, Luke, but that's not good.
Yeah, just go face surf.
All right. Derrick Lewis is going to learn this move for his next post-fight celebration, Luke.
Okay, what the fuck? What the fuck are we watching? How did this not end with guys fucking each other?
And Luke,
how did this not end
Some people
way?
say 80s wrestling was the peak. Let's go to the 90s here. What do you think of this sign next to old Vinnie Mac?
Vince McMahon is gay and also loves to bang little chickens. That's a lot. That's a lot. There's a lot going on there.
Crazy weekend for MMA entrances. Luke, let's go to KSW 94 in Poland. Former boxer Artur Szpilka, who's now transitioned to MMA. What do you think of this?
Okay, so I know what the punchline is here. I'm not going to ruin it. I'm just going to say this walkout banged. This one, I'm just saying the walkout. The walkout itself ruled.
Yeah, he once fought Deontay Wilder in a heavyweight title fight.
He got viciously KO'd.
Got knocked out cold. Well, Luke, he also got knocked out in 14 seconds in this actual fight, and we have the footage here of old Artie on the right.
And he's fighting a former kickboxer, by the way.
Yeah.
Here he is, all tatted up, probably on a bunch of gear.
Probably. I mean, look at that. Look at the abs right there.
And watch this dude just force him down and then just pound him up.
Yeah,
a little early there, but still.
You get what you get there. You remember Fedor's brother?
Alexander?
Yeah, he found a DeLorean and he tried to go back in time here at RCC 19. This is a Grubaka Hitman special.
No, this is not Alexander. This is Shlemenko.
Oh, Shlemenko. Did I write Emelianenko like a loser? This is former Bellator middleweight champion.
He had the famous quote, "I am beat you."
Yes, and he's also a coach, right?
I think so, yes.
I think he was in the corner of...
I want folks to know, like, when you watch UFC, you think that's real MMA. This is real MMA.
How did I must have saw Shlemenko, who I obviously know, and then thought, oh, Fedor's brother. That's great. Yeah,
Fedor's brother has like hepatitis C or something.
I'm sorry to the Emelianenkos for that. By the way, you see Fedor is getting ripped up right now?
I don't know who his chemist is, but he's doing a good job.
He's trying to get a big boxing match. Do you think he could fight the winner of Jake versus Mike Tyson? Which sounds like it's the most ridiculous question I've ever asked, but like he wants to fight Tyson. If Tyson beats Jake
Honestly,
Paul,
I don't think anything's impossible. I really don't.
All right. Do you think that Shlemenko traveled back in time and found old gear?
Went back to 1988?
Or found that sports almanac?
Yeah, get out of the car, fucker. This is taking a while. Thank you.
Thank you, McFly. Thank you. All right. There we go. There he is. There he is. Let's keep the fun going here, Luke. Big week for haircuts in the old barber shop, right? What do you think of this haircut? Think of Pops?
Once again, where is the drive-by shooter when you need one?
Let's keep it going, Luke. You don't have the guts to shave. You put up the potential of shaving your beard one time for the fans, for the people. But I think I finally figured out why. Let's go to a guy who's about it.
Oh, fuck me.
That is exactly what you might look like without it, Luke. I think you're making the right choice.
Okay, I'm not that ugly, but that is
shades of Chuck Mindenhall when he took off his helmet in Star Wars.
It looks like someone. It looks like someone has a skin tag on their ball sack.
Yeah, that's gross. That is not good. All right, Luke, did you like the '90s movie Face Off? With
of course, John Travolta.
Nicolas Cage's Castor Troy. You can now wear that swim trunks at your next event. Would you wear that?
A little much. It's like the movie poster. I don't know if I would want to do that. That's
okay.
but it's very 90s.
Very 90s. All right. Speaking of 90s, Chris Farley used to fall through tables on his way to a van down by the river. Let's watch this drunk man.
Please don't break the TV.
I'm so sorry. If you spill my tea, I got that on video.
Oh, the whites, Luke. The whites.
BC, I can't believe he's white. That seems so out of character.
Speaking of white folks, Luke, isn't your two favorite things in the world powerlifting and gender reveals?
Powerlifting, yes. Gender reveal, no.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, it's a boy, Luke. It's a boy.
And look at that woman got like completely, she got Smurf bukkakied. I'm just waiting for one of these to be like, oh, gender reveal. Sorry, I had an abortion.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's way too far. I don't endorse that.
I had an abortion like 6 weeks ago.
T-shirts of the week time. Luke, let's go to Caleb Presley of Barstool fame. Represent North America. See, no one has pride in their continent like this guy does, Luke.
Get it? Come. It's a sexual joke. You get it? That's the funny part. You know
don't
what I'm
think
saying?
This is funny?
I'm not 13, no.
Oh, okay, after we just laughed about like people dying and stuff. And...
Okay, I'm 14. I'm not much better, but I'm 14.
Okay, all right. Well, let's keep going. What do you think of this T-shirt, Luke?
He didn't spell masturbation correctly.
I'd join that playing field, right?
The League of Masturbation. Dude, I've been the president of that fucking league for a long time.
Is it disrespectful, these new KO memes that are going around where they're taking great moments?
They are very disrespectful.
All right. I run these with a little bit of what's the word I'm looking for? Apprehension.
Okay.
All right, let's see it anyway. I don't endorse this kind of content, Luke, but it's around. It's around.
Dude, if you get like viciously KO'd, that's the least of your problems.
All right, we've got one more for you. I don't endorse this video.
The internet. Okay, that was the Jessica. Oh, fucking hell. What does it say there on the thing? Oh, it's the person's like name.
Yeah, that's too far. That is just too. That is too far.
Yeah, it's a little
Luke.
much.
All right, I don't know if this batch was good or not, but we got one more for you. A true mic drop moment.
I'm thankful for Bangkok Casino for having us here. It's going to only get better, bigger, and better. So thank you guys so much.
Tito Ortiz with the mic drop at the regional MMA show, and he drops it on his own dome. Luke.
Dude.
That's so good.
Dude, you can't even write shit like that. You can't even write.
No,
and by the way, does he play that one more time? Does he say better, bigger, and better? Turn it up.
I'm thankful for Bangkok Casino for having us here. It's going to only get better, bigger, and better. So thank you guys so much.
Better, bigger, and better.
Oh, that is the shit of the week.
That should be the motto of MK. Better, bigger, and better.
Was the shit this week better or bigger?
It was better and bigger, but also better.
Okay. Too bad my main license plates.
The one thing that was missing was you didn't have enough like fat chicks like taking a shovel to the face or old people falling off
That's
skateboards.
True. We did see a pinata and a small person
that was
thrown head first.
That was good. That was good. I'll say that. I'll give that one an A-.
Thank you very much.
Certainly better than the last week.
I found this flag on the floor.
What's it say? Line them up.
Line them up. All right. That's what I say to all of our enemies and detractors, Luke, okay?
Line them up.
Line them up.
Let's remind everyone, MK is the code for any kind of betting you want to do at DraftKings, any kind of action you want to get in on.
Usyk versus Fury this Saturday for all the marbles, all 4 heavyweight championship belts in Saudi Arabia.
Yep.
And how about you download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today? New customers put $5 down using our code MK. They instantly receive $150 in bonus bets.
Instantly, just like that. You can see it right there. Use the code MK on the DraftKings Sportsbook. You can see right there on the graphic everything you need to do that. And of course, BC, the odds on this one, 120 for Fury. I think it's plus 110 for Usyk.
This is great.
It is,
this is
I mean,
great. This is great.
Unbelievable.
So UFC this weekend is who's in the main event?
Barboza, and I forget the other
Lerone
person.
Murphy?
Oh, Lerone Murphy, maybe.
We
yeah.
also have Friday night Bellator, Paris, Patchy Mix.
So that would be Friday afternoon.
Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else I'm missing this weekend? Any BKF sizzle?
There might be some. But the big one, Usyk Fury.
Yeah, DraftKings, by the way, the crown is yours. And
There
I
we
am
go.
referring to the restroom that you're going to be using soon.
No, I'm going to go to the Amtrak one.
Okay.
That one's nice. That
I'm
one's
Team
really
Amtrak now. I used to be all about the Metro North line. Now I'm Team Amtrak. All right?
Is that because I get you into the all the nice places?
Because you get me
tell
free
them what I
food.
did. Tell them what I did for you.
So Luke's such a nice guy that he gets me into his exclusive like Admiral's Club Lounge over there at the Amtrak Penn Station, and free food and like leather and couches. And
do you know how many points I have? Like if you have like 10,000 points, you can use all your points to get like round trip tickets from DC to New York. Okay?
Yes.
I have 67,000. And I have
0 right now.
Yeah, I've spent about 30 of them. So I ride the train unless you know.
Do you have to use points to sign me in for free food?
No.
All
What
right.
I'm saying is, unless you know someone who actually works on a train, I ride the train more than anybody you know.
And so did your Marine buddies. Those filthy.
And they were like, Luke, do you want, or actually they called me Thomas. Thomas, you want to get in on this train? I'm like, nah, I'm good, dude.
Nah.
I'm good. I'm not.
We should do it like a 30 for 30. Where are they now from that night?
Oh my Lord.
Where are these sex offenders now, Luke? Yeah, they're.
Well, it all seemed consensual from what
Do you think there's a through line from that train to Jan 6?
No, from that train to meth addiction to living under a rock and then probably getting in it. Remember that car crash where the building fell on top?
Yes.
I bet that was 2 of the Marines I
In
served
Baltimore.
with.
So we're on the path to victory. So one day we will have a Friday show, live, local, and late.
People are
breaking.
asking us when's it going to be back, and we don't quite know the answer to that, but we're cracking the whip on it.
We are cracking the eggs. We're cooking it up. Well, let us cook, okay? We got an omelet coming your way.
Let me cook.
That's
All right.
it. Shout out to our great team, Long Island Luke behind the glass, right?
Long Island Luke, why don't you plug your podcast that no one listens to?
Oh, everyone should go check it out. Main Card Minute. Thank you.
On YouTube, the main card.
On
minute.
YouTube.
So just to kind of embellish this selling a little bit more, the truth is you regularly have guests on from the MK universe. True or false?
True. Manich, Gaff, Jake Von Amsterdam, and Tristan, all always on.
Tristan, how have you had him on and he hasn't slit your throat with a box cutter?
He comes close, but he mostly just sits there and gets drunk and keeps quiet.
Do you think he'd be willing to do a tattoo reveal on your show to bring out all the rabid animals?
100%. We could also have Jay Aaron on, too. People have requested that.
Jay Paquette, too, probably.
Let's end this. That is BC. I'm LT. This has been MK. Thank you guys so much for watching. We really appreciate it. That's it. We're done. Follow, like, subscribe, all the stuff on social, the whole 9 yards. And you can use the promo code LIVE10 at morningcombat.store.
Shout out to RJ, by the way, right?
Yeah. Hey, I'm going to let everyone know how the Cannibal Corpse thing goes tomorrow.
Why
That's
do we
tomorrow.
not have an MK shirt that says "Feeling These Margaritas"? Why do we not have that?
I hope that RJ Dunkel Gangfuck is listening.
He's a new father.
All right,
Congratulations.
they're
to that
yawning
man.
in the control room.
All right,
we
I'm
gotta
sorry,
we gotta be
that's
done
over.
here.
Right,
All right, for everyone involved, thank you guys so much. We'll be back next week. We love you. Until then, may all your gains be loyal.